Chapter 1205. Of course, I refused. What ability do I have to accept something that even Mr. Bobby doesn't dare to accept? Mike shook his head and said, the most annoying thing is that this guy still wants to hide it from me. He obviously offended a big shot and told me that he has a cash flow problem. Isn't this trying to kill me? You didn't fall for it. None of us will be fooled by him. Mike patted Jeffers' shoulder and said, yeah, thanks to you reminding me yesterday. Otherwise, I might have. Let's not talk about it. Jeffers sighed and said with some fear. We are all friends. Why are you thanking me? Mike waved his hand. However, with your personal experience, we have also learned a lot. Everyone has to be careful. Li Jiqing may not give up and continue to sell his minerals to us. Hey, we all know. Who would still want to take over his mines? Everyone laughed. After Li Jiqing scolded Jeffers, he was naturally very unwilling, but there was no way. He didn't understand. Why did everyone suddenly lose interest in the minerals that were originally in high demand? Father, how is your talk with Jeffers? Li Tianjia and Li Tianyu came in from the next room and asked Li Jiqing. Damn, this guy actually rejected me. He also said that he was not interested. Is there a mistake? Li Jiqing said coldly, these people are all like idiots. I sold it to them at the original price, but they don't want it. He doesn't want it. Li Tianyu suddenly frowned. It can't be. Why doesn't he want it? Who knows? These people are like eating the wrong medicine. They won't even pick up this kind of bargain. Li Jiqing said angrily. Father, I think it seems that our transfer price is too cheap. Li Tianyu interjected at this time. We should raise the price and transfer it more expensive. Too cheap. Li Jiqing was stunned. It is so cheap. We can't transfer it at the original price, let alone raise the price. No, I think the problem is this price. Li Tianyu shook his head and said, it is because it is too cheap that it can't be transferred. How can it not be transferred if it is too cheap? Can it be sold if it is expensive? Li Jiqing's eyes widened. Apparently, he did not believe Li Tianyu's theory. Father, you're so smart. Why can't you figure it out? Li Tianyu hurriedly explained in detail, think about it, we spent a lot of effort to bid for the management rights of these two mines. Now, we are selling them at the original price. How can this not make people suspicious? You can continue. Li Jiqing nodded. He seemed to have grasped some of the knack. Let's not talk about the cost of hiring Li Lixin. Just the time spent going back and forth is already enough, right? Li Tianyu said, and now, if we sell it at the original price, what will others think? They will definitely think that we are either crazy or that there is something wrong with these two mines. Obviously, we can't be lunatics. Then, there's only one explanation. There's a problem with the mine. Yeah. Li Jiqing patted his head and suddenly realized, why didn't I think of it before? It turned out to be like this. No wonder I felt that the eyes of Bobby and Jeffers were flickering. It turned out that they were suspicious of me. This time, I can't sell it at the original price. I have to raise the price. Yes, only by raising the price, others will think that we just want to earn a difference in price, so we bid for these mines. It is reasonable. Li Tianyu nodded and said. Tianyu, your analysis is good. Li Jiqing was suddenly enlightened. He was in a very good mood. Naturally, he was not stingy with his praise for Li Tianyu. Li Tianjia was somewhat disdainful on the side. When Li Tianyu said this, he actually thought about it, but he didn't think that his father didn't consider these things. But obviously, Li Jiqing was blinded by the situation. After Li Ziqing figured this out, he was not so worried. After breakfast in the room, he came to the activity room on the first floor of the guest house. Many investors would come here to play cards or something in their spare time. Li Ziqing entered the activity room and did not attract anyone's attention. Everyone was playing their own game. Li Ziqing simply found a card game and sat down. "Hey, man, what are you playing?" Li Ziqing looked at the black man closest to him and asked. "Blackjack." When the black man saw that it was Li Ziqing, his expression changed involuntarily. However, he still replied to his question. "What mineral did you invest in this time?" When Li Ziqing saw the black man talking to him, he naturally continued to talk. The black man naturally heard about Li Ziqing, and after experiencing the incident with Jeffers in the morning, he naturally wanted to stay away from Li Ziqing. However, this guy was sitting next to him, so the black man could only answer him indifferently. "I didn't get any minerals. My boxer is too garbage. He didn't win a single game." After Li Ziqing listened to the black man's words, his heart suddenly moved. "You didn't get a single mineral. Isn't that the person I'm looking for?" So, Li Ziqing quickly continued to talk with the black man. "That's a pity." "Yeah." After the black man finished speaking, he cursed, "Damn it, I took too many cards." As he said this, he closed the cards in his hand. "In my hands, there are 2 minerals. I don't know if you are interested." Li Ziqing was ready to start peddling the minerals in his hands. "In fact, I am a middleman. I make a living by speculating. I now have an iron mine and half a gold mine in my hands. I don't know if you are interested." "Speculator." The black man repeated Li Ziqing's words. It was not salty nor light. It was difficult to understand the meaning in his tone. "Yes, I am a speculator." Li Ziqing said, "You only need to give me a certain benefit, and I will transfer the minerals in my hands to you. How about it? Isn't this a good deal? At least you won't go back empty-handed." "Go back empty-handed? I have already gone back empty-handed, and I have booked a ticket for tomorrow." The black man snorted. "Yeah, now you have such an opportunity. You met me, this speculator." Li Ziqing thought that the black man was tempted and tried to introduce him. "Ha ha 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 ha." Suddenly, a loud and small voice interrupted the conversation between the two. Li Ziqing frowned. He thought, who is so unethical? Although this is a public place, you have to take into account the quality of a person, right? We are talking about business. Please keep your voice down. Li Ziqing found the source of the laughter. It was a white man sitting not far from them. Oh. Okay, Mr. Speculator." Mike showed a mocking expression. "I know you want to transfer the minerals in your hands as soon as possible because you have a cash flow problem." "What cash flow problem?" Li Ziqing glared at Mike. He was somewhat dissatisfied that Mike interrupted the conversation between him and the black man. "My business in Singapore has a cash flow problem. I need funds, so I will transfer the minerals in my hands at the original price." "Oh, now you see that our black brother is easy to bully, right? You just turned around and raised the price." Mike learned how Li Ziqing talked to Jeffers before and pinched his nose. "You." Li Ziqing's face suddenly turned red. He didn't expect Jeffers to leak their conversation. This made him very angry. How could this Jeffers do such a dirty and shameless thing? What's wrong with me? Mike was not afraid of Li Ziqing, especially after he learned from Bobby that there was a big shot who wanted to deal with Li Ziqing. He didn't care about him anymore. Therefore, he used all the sarcasm. "Are you a fool, or are we fools? One person, one price. Do you think it's interesting to do this?" Li Ziqing's face was blue and white for a while. After a while, he snorted. Well, I admit that my cash flow problem is not good. I will sell my minerals at the original price. Who wants them? I am not interested. Mike spread his hands, stood up, and walked directly to the door of the activity room. Sorry, I am not interested. The black man also stood up. He didn't want to get involved in this matter. Although he really wanted the minerals in Li Ziqing's hands, he also understood that it was better not to buy it than not being able to gain a foothold after buying it. Hey, man, I can give you a discount. How about it? Li Ziqing shouted with his teeth clenched. I really don't have any interest. The black man shook his head and left without looking back. Let's go. It's not interesting here. The other people in the activity room also stood up and walked to the door. In the end, only Li Ziqing was left, sitting at the table in the lounge. Li Ziqing didn't understand why everyone seemed to have discussed it. They were not interested in the minerals in his hands. Li Ziqing was really dumbfounded this time. He originally thought that there was no need to worry about selling the goods. However, the current situation was that no one wanted him even if he sold it at the original price or even at a lower price. What the hell is wrong with these people? It doesn't make sense. Why don't they want such a good deal? Is someone not letting them buy it? Thinking of this, suddenly a chill hit Li Ziqing's body. Not letting them buy it. Yes, it must be like this. There must be a behind-the-scenes mastermind behind this matter. And this behind-the-scenes mastermind, is it Yang Ming? Thinking of this, Li Ziqing's body couldn't help but begin to tremble. Could it be that Yang Ming's revenge has begun? Yang Ming doesn't want me to transfer the minerals in my hands to others. Of course, Li Ziqing didn't think that Yang Ming didn't let him transfer because he wanted him to continue operating. Chapter 1206. Victoria was lying in the hospital bed, quietly thinking about what had just happened. This day had brought her too many surprises, and it had already exceeded what she could bear. The freedom that she had always longed for actually came to her so easily. Victoria had a feeling of a dream, it was very unreal. Yang Ming did not take the remote control away in the end, but Victoria had no use for it. She kept it just as a souvenir. Tomorrow, am I going to embark on a new life? Victoria was afraid that after she woke up, everything would change back to the original state, so she went to bed very late last night. However, when she woke up today and saw the remote control on her pillow, Victoria was convinced that she was not dreaming. Dang dang dang. There was a knock on the door. Please come in. Victoria thought it was the nurse who came to change her medicine, so she did not care and spoke calmly. The door of the ward was pushed open, and Dr. Jessica took the lead. However, behind Dr. Jessica stood a person who made Victoria resent and fear from the bottom of her heart. This person was her former master, Bobby. This resentment and fear were involuntary. Although Victoria had nothing to do with him now, under years of submission to Bobby's oppression, Victoria had developed a fear of him. Victoria, how do you feel? Are you feeling better? Bobby walked into the ward cautiously and greeted Victoria with a face full of concern. Bobby was a sociable person. He had worked hard to establish a relationship with Yang Ming. Naturally, he had to find ways to maintain and consolidate it. Therefore, when Yang Ming wanted to take Victoria away and treat her, Bobby mistakenly thought that Yang Ming had taken a fancy to Victoria because he did not think that the injured Victoria had any other use for Yang Ming. Yesterday, what Yang Ming said to Victoria, although Jessica heard it, she would never say these things without Yang Ming's permission. The doctors in this hospital were all soldiers, so they would never reveal anything. Therefore, although Jessica knew the real reason why Yang Ming wanted Victoria, this reason could not be told to Bobby. As for what Bobby thought, it was Bobby's own business. For Bobby's question, Jessica did not say anything other than a smile. However, the more it was like this, the more Bobby misunderstood. He thought that Jessica was smiling ambiguously, so his heart was even more fearful. After entering Victoria's room, Bobby was so careful. Victoria was shocked by Bobby's attitude. She did not know how Bobby, who had always been high and mighty, suddenly became like this. Victoria opened her mouth in amazement, and she did not say a word for a long time. Victoria, I know that I may have gone overboard with what I did to you before, but you were my slave at that time. Now that you have a noble status, I think you won't hold a grudge against me and won't take what happened in the past to heart, right? Bobby saw that Victoria did not answer, and he was sure that Victoria was holding a grudge. Moreover, seeing that Victoria was now living in such a high-end ward, and there was a professional doctor accompanying her 24 hours a day, Bobby knew that Victoria should occupy a large position in Yang Ming's heart. In this way, this little girl was favored, and it was inevitable that she would resent Bobby for what he had done before. At that time, she would flirt with Yang Ming's pillow. Then, wouldn't Bobby be done for? Thinking of the accidents that might happen in the future, Bobby quickly ran to Victoria's ward to seek her forgiveness. Victoria was even more inexplicable. When did my identity become noble? Now, I just have a certain amount of freedom, but it is not related to the word noble. In this world, there are so many free people like me. I can't even count them. Are these people all noble? As a matter of fact, the beggars in the slums also had freedom. And Victoria really didn't feel that her situation was much better than theirs. When Bobby saw Victoria's appearance, he guessed that Victoria must still be very resentful. If he wanted to get Victoria's forgiveness, he was afraid that it would not be possible with just a few words. Victoria, it is your blessing that Mr. Yang likes you. However, you have to grasp this opportunity well. There is no shortage of beautiful women around Mr. Yang. So, if you want to always get Mr. Yang's favor, you have to first learn how to please and please men. Bobby saw that his blind apology was useless, so he changed his tactics. Before he came here, he made 2 preparations. One of the preparations was to talk to Victoria as a friend about her future and how she could stand firm in Yang Ming's family. Hey! Victoria's eyes widened. What does he mean by there is no shortage of beautiful women around Mr. Yang? What does it have to do with me if there are more beautiful women around him? It's just a few more targets to be protected. Moreover, why do I want to get Yang Ming's favor? Victoria, your previous identity. Oh, I'm sorry. Although it's somewhat demeaning to mention this now, I'm telling the truth. I hope you can understand. I'm now talking to you from the perspective of a friend. Bobby's 2 hands didn't know what to do, but his sincerity was fully shown. And then, Victoria was confused. When she saw that Bobby was also at a loss, she suddenly felt a little funny. Is this still the Bobby who used to flaunt his prowess? In front of me, he suddenly became like a child. The huge contrast made Victoria feel like she was dreaming. Victoria wanted to figure out what was wrong with Bobby, so she asked him to continue. Seeing that Victoria finally spoke, Bobby was overjoyed. It seems that Victoria is a little relaxed. I played the friendship card correctly, so he quickly continued, you couldn't have come into contact with these things between men and women in the past. Take me as an example. I have many women around me, but the one who attracts me the most may not be the most beautiful, but the most charming. A woman's charm can be cultivated and changed, so I came here this time mainly to talk to you about these things. Oh. Victoria still didn't quite understand the ultimate purpose of Bobby coming here. What woman's charm? Could it be that Bobby suddenly became stupid? Victoria had never seen Bobby talk and act like this before. If you want to always capture Mr. Yang's heart, Victoria, you have to work hard. Bobby said and mysteriously handed a box to Victoria's hand. Then he squinted his eyes and said, "Here, I have a small video player for you. There are videos that I downloaded for you. Some of the world's famous intelligence organizations are training female intelligence officers. The skill of seducing men is first class. If you learn half of it, you can, female intelligence officer training." Victoria took the small box from Bobby's hand and repeated to herself, "That's right. I spent a lot of effort to get it." Bobby quickly took credit. "Well, Miss Victoria, I won't disturb your rest. I will come to visit you later. In addition, I got some fresh fruits that you like to eat. They are on the side of the bed." Bobby obviously didn't know what kind of fruit Victoria was willing to eat before, but Bobby had learned some of Victoria's living habits from the slaves under him overnight. Usually, Bobby was not harsh on the diet of these slaves because he wanted to rely on them to win the competition for him, so they must keep up with the diet and nutrition. After Bobby said these words, he got up and left. He smiled and nodded to Victoria before leaving the ward. Victoria held the box in her hand and stared at Bobby's departing back in confusion. She shook her head. What the hell is going on? What happened to Bobby? Jessica looked at the inexplicable Victoria and shook her head helplessly. "Miss Victoria, Mr. Bobby thought that Mr. Young took a fancy to your beauty and made you his woman, so, Bobby has such a posture. Ah." Victoria suddenly blushed after listening to Jessica's words. The current Victoria was more like a normal girl. She had thrown away the shackles of her previous fate and became a free person. Victoria finally understood what the association said before and after Bobby. It turned out that Bobby regarded her as Yang Ming's woman. However, what puzzled Victoria was that Bobby at least didn't have to be so humble to her, right? When she went out with Bobby to fight in the arena, she also saw many beautiful women with Bobby's friends, but Bobby did not deliberately flatter them. On the contrary, he was very cold because in the eyes of these men, women were accessories. Only power and money could make them excited. Victoria even saw that one of Bobby's friends' women was slapped in public by Bobby's friends because she offended Bobby with words. This also indirectly showed that the friendship between men did not need women to be involved. But now, Victoria seemed to see another scene, which made her really inexplicable. She finally couldn't help but ask, "But even if this is the case, Bobby doesn't have to treat me like this, right?" His attitude. After Jessica listened to Victoria's words, she shook her head with a bitter smile. "Even if you just asked him to kneel, he might not hesitate." "Kneel? This is impossible, right?" Victoria exclaimed. "I understand what you are thinking. If you are just the woman of a friend with the same status as Bobby, then Bobby will definitely not treat you with such an attitude. But, when a man's identity has completely overridden another person, the woman around him, even if she is just an unfavored one, will become high and mighty." Jessica said slowly, "Mr. Young, in this land, has absolute power, so your identity will also rise." Jessica naturally knew Yang Ming's real intention for Victoria, so she didn't have to worry about anything. She told Victoria all these things to help her solve her doubts, and at the same time, she could better understand the master she would serve in the future. High and mighty. Victoria had never felt like today before. Originally, she thought that Bobby had already stood at the top of wealth and upper-class society, but now it seemed that there were people who were stronger than Bobby. Just because of the groundless title of being Yang Ming's woman, Bobby, who was originally high and mighty, flattered her. It also made her change from a slave with the lowest status to a high and mighty empress. All of this was brought about by the man she saw last night. What kind of person is he? Victoria became a little absent-minded. This kind of rise and fall in status made her believe that her choice was correct. Although she was not Yang Ming's woman, and she couldn't be one, she didn't see lust and desire for her beauty in Yang Ming's eyes. It was just a kind of faint concern. However, in Victoria's heart, she was still a little vain. At the very least, she used the title of Yang Ming's woman to intimidate Bobby. This made her little heart unprecedentedly satisfied. Yes, from the very beginning, the identity of a slave, she suddenly rode on the head of the master. Who could not be happy? Victoria took a deep breath and nodded slightly. Thank you for not exposing this matter just now, so that I can vent the anger in my heart. I have no right to say anything to Bobby. What he thinks is his own guess. Jessica shrugged. In fact, even if you are the bodyguard of Mr. Yang's woman, Bobby will still look at you in a different light. This is the difference in identity. The gap between him and Mr. Yang is too big. Losing a lot is better than dying here, right? Li Tianjia advised, we can't give up our lives for money, right? Where there is life, there is hope. To be honest, in this place, I have no confidence in my heart. There is no law here. There are no rules. General Kars and Li Chang's words are the law. If they want to kill us, it is just a matter of a word. How could Li Ziqing not know that Li Tianjia was telling the truth? If he didn't know, he wouldn't be eager to get rid of the mines in his hands. It was because he knew this that he wanted to leave here as soon as possible. But now, it seemed that his idea was obviously not feasible. No one would take over the mines in his hands. Although Li Tianyu also felt that this was a great loss, this was the only way, so he had to agree. Father, we have no other choice. Chapter 1207. After Yang Ming left the room, he came to the dining room. Huang Xiaofei, Huang Rongtian, and Huang Rongjin had already woken up. They were sitting in the dining room and chatting happily. Seeing Yang Ming come in, Huang Xiaofei nodded with a smile. Huang Rongtian and Huang Rongjin stood up enthusiastically and greeted Yang Ming. They understood that the change in the Huang family could not be separated from this man in front of them. Although he was Huang Leilei's boyfriend, if he did not appear, the Huang family might really be finished. When are we going back to China? The things here were over. Huang Rongjin naturally thought about returning to China. And, we will leave tomorrow morning, but how do we deal with Li Ziqing's matter? Have you thought about how to deal with him? Asked Yang Ming. We were just talking about Li Ziqing's matter. Li Ziqing wanted to sell the mines in his hands, but no one took over. We also heard about this matter. Li Ziqing probably didn't think that he would have such a day. Huang Rongjin couldn't help but laugh when he said this. Hee hee. Huang Xiaofei also laughed heartily. This time, Li Ziqing's fall is really not small. The money he lost is much more than what he cheated from me before. It could be seen that Huang Xiaofei was really happy. He had come out of the shadow of the previous incident. Now, have you decided how to deal with him? Asked Yang Ming. Deal with him. I think he has already been punished. He has lost more money. Let's just forget about dealing with him. Huang Xiaofei thought about it and said faintly. Sometimes, when a person was in a different position, their thoughts would be different. In the beginning, Huang Xiaofei hated Li Ziqing to the bone. He could not wait to kill him to vent the hatred in his heart. But now, knowing Yang Ming's position in Country X, and knowing that Yang Ming was the owner of this land, Huang Xiaofei's perspective on the problem had also changed. He now looked at Li Ziqing with a completely overlooking attitude, just like an elephant looking at an ant. He could trample Li Ziqing to death with just a move of his feet. Therefore, he had no interest in how to ravage Li Ziqing. After all, the scariest thing was to put a person in a state of fear. True fear was the fear of the unknown, not the fear of reality. Li Ziqing was now already in fear. It was estimated that this kind of torment had tortured him to the point of madness, so Huang Xiaofei had no interest in attacking him physically. Okay. Yang Ming nodded. He Ziqing. Yang. After Huang Xiaofei heard it, he waved his hand and said, in fact, this feeling of being cheated of so much money is even worse. I have personally felt this feeling. It is simply better to die than to live. Yang Ming, if you didn't appear, maybe I would have chosen to commit suicide. So, I understand that kind of pain, and Li Ziqing's family will spend the rest of their lives in this kind of pain. Oh. This is a good idea. Yang Ming listened to Huang Xiaofei's words, and he had another idea in his heart. There was a slight smile at the corner of his mouth. Okay, then, let them lose more money. Lose more money? What do you mean? Huang Xiaofei didn't understand Yang Ming's words. Aren't they losing enough money now? Now? If they can't sell the mines in their hands, what does it have to do with me? Yang Ming spread his hands. They can leave, but the 40 billion patakas that they cheated from you before should be returned to you, right? They didn't use it to invest in mines. Ah, you mean, let them take out another 40 billion patakas. Huang Xiaofei understood Yang Ming's words and exclaimed. Yang Ming nodded and said, but it's not, again, but should. His investment in mines is the money he invested. It has nothing to do with the money he owes you. If he wasn't greedy and wanted to get some benefits here, why would he come to invest? Then again, if he didn't come here to invest, how can I trouble him? If he stayed in Singapore, I really couldn't do anything to him. Yang Ming and Huang Xiaofei were right. At this moment, Li Ziqing's mind had begun to waver. Yes, Li Tianjia and Li Tianyu were right. Where there is life, there is hope. Giving up some now was just a temporary waver. Although it was painful, it was better than losing his life. Thinking of this, Li Ziqing finally made a decision. Pack up. We will leave and return to China. I really regret coming here to invest this time. I didn't expect the Huang family to find such a big backer. I really didn't expect it. Li Ziqing's voice was a little bitter and hoarse, but this was normal. Who would not be distressed when they suddenly lost such a large sum of money? However, what made Li Ziqing's family more frightened was still to come. Li Ziqing's family packed up their things and came out of the guest house. As soon as they walked to the door of the guest house, they were stopped. Sorry, Mr. Li, you can't leave. Can't leave? Why? Li Ziqing was shocked, but he asked calmly. He had already thought of the worst result in his heart, but he was not very sure, so at this moment, he deliberately made himself look more calm. He hoped that these people stopped him because of other things. This is an order from above. The guard said faintly, please go back. An order from above. What order? We are here to invest. Why do you want to restrict my personal freedom? Li Ziqing suddenly became agitated. He couldn't not be agitated because the worst possibility had already occurred. The order from above is to prohibit you from leaving the guest house. The guard replied word by word. Prohibit me from leaving? Why? Li Ziqing snorted coldly and tried to push away the guard's obstruction. I will leave. What can you do to me? The muzzle of a long gun was pressed against Li Ziqing's chest. If you insist on leaving, according to the order, we will shoot you to death. You dare to shoot me to death? I don't believe it. What right do you have to shoot me to death? Li Ziqing shouted in exasperation, everyone, come out and take a look. This is how they treat investors. They restrict their freedom and even want to kill them. In the future, who would dare to invest in this damned place? Li Ziqing's clamor and noise did not attract any onlookers because the investors in this guest house already knew that Li Ziqing had provoked a very powerful person, so this had nothing to do with them. Who would stand up for Li Ziqing at this time? Isn't this asking for trouble? Caw! Li Ziqing heard the clear sound of a bullet being loaded, and the sweat on his forehead flowed down in an instant. His shouting just now was just to attract the attention of the investors here and arouse their public anger. In this way, the law would not punish the majority, and Li Ziqing could get the support of others. But now, obviously, his words did not resonate. Instead, it aroused the guard's vigilance. The guard had already loaded the bullet. Li Ziqing was not a fool. He knew that the guard would do what he said, so for a while, all the words that were about to come out of his mouth stopped abruptly. His half-opened mouth froze on the spot. Li Tianjia and Li Tianyu did not expect things to develop in this direction. Now, they had restricted their freedom and did not let them leave at will. The guard obviously did what he said. They could not watch their father die, so Li Tianjia pulled Li Ziqing's sleeve and whispered, "Father, let's go back to the room. We will make plans after we go back." Li Ziqing was already timid. Now that he was pulled by Li Tianjia, he also had a way out. He snorted and turned back to the guest house. After entering the guest house, Li Ziqing found that all the room doors were closed. Obviously, others did not want to be involved in this matter, so they simply closed the door and pretended not to know. Li Ziqing sighed and said something that made him feel self-deprecating, but he had to say it. "If you knew it would be like this, why did you do it in the first place?" Li Tianjia and Li Tianyu also bowed their heads in silence. Indeed, thinking about it now, Li Ziqing's previous approach was a bit too much. He almost forced the Huang family into a dead end, but they were indifferent and complacent. They had no compassion. But now, retribution was on their heads. "How do you think Yang Ming will deal with us?" Li Ziqing sat on the bed in the room absent-mindedly, like a criminal waiting to be judged by fate. He didn't know his future, and he didn't know what would happen to him in the next moment. Li Tianjia and Li Tianyu's hearts were also full of panic. Their psychological quality was not as good as Li Ziqing's. They were still young, and they didn't want to die in this damn place at such a young age. However, looking at the situation now, Yang Ming didn't seem to want to kill them. Otherwise, he wouldn't just restrict their travel. If Yang Ming wanted to kill them to vent his anger, he would directly take them to a remote place. Whether they were killed or abused, it was entirely up to Yang Ming's preferences. But now, Yang Ming didn't say how to deal with them. He just trapped them here. Until now, the Li family didn't even see Yang Ming's shadow, which made them feel uneasy. In many cases, the process was more terrible than the result. They always hoped that Yang Ming would let them go, but they were even more afraid that Yang Ming would think of more cruel ways to harm them. "Tianyu, if you didn't try to invest here, we wouldn't have come. Who would have thought that we would encounter this kind of thing? Not to mention that we lost money, but now we can't even leave." Li Tianjia finally couldn't help but complain about the inner torment. "What did you say?" Li Tianyu's heart was also uncomfortable. After being stimulated by Li Tianjia, his fragile soul suddenly collapsed. He stood up and pointed at Li Tianjia and scolded, "You motherfucker. If you weren't lustful and had thoughts about Huang Lele, how could we fall into this situation? Who are you scolding? You scolded my mother. I will kill you." Li Tianjia and Li Tianyu were not born from the same mother, so Li Tianjia was very sensitive to this topic. After being scolded by Li Tianyu, he immediately exploded. He raised his arm and hit Li Tianyu. "Who are you trying to kill?" Li Tianyu didn't show weakness and wrestled with Li Tianjia. "Okay, stop fighting." Li Ziqing was depressed in his heart, but his two sons were wrestling together. How could he feel good? He quickly scolded them. However, Li Tianjia and Li Tianyu's hearts were full of anger. How could they stop at this moment? "Don't think that I don't know your thoughts. When you suggested that my father send me abroad, you wanted to inherit the family business. Li Tianyu sneered as he fought. But you are restless. You want to seduce Huang Lele. I think you are a toad who wants to eat swan meat. You tried to steal a chicken but ended up losing the rice used to lure it. Now, the Huang family's revenge is here. What do you think? I think we should castrate you and make Huang family happy. Maybe they will let us go. What did you say? Li Tianjiao listened to Li Tianyu's words and was furious. Indeed, when he suggested that his father send Li Tianyu to Africa, he also wanted to exclude him from the center of power. However, Li Tianyu exposed his thoughts in public. He suddenly became angry, especially when Li Tianyu said that he wanted to castrate him to please the Huang family. He was even angrier. A fierce light flashed in his eyes. He grabbed Li Tianyu's penis and pulled it up forcefully. He gritted his teeth and said, "If you want to castrate me, I will castrate you first. Let's see how you inherit the family business in the future. I will let you die without descendants." Ha 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 ha. Under the disaster of the family, the ugliness and ferocity in human nature broke out in an instant. Otherwise, how could there be a saying that a husband and wife were birds in the same forest, but they flew away separately in the face of disaster? Husband and wife were like this, and so were brothers. Not to mention this kind of half-brother who had been fighting openly and secretly since childhood. Li Tianjia was ruthless at this moment. He wanted to solve Li Tianyu, this future trouble, once and for all. Under the pressure of no future and no reality of the next moment, the ferocity in his human nature burst out immediately. Ouch! Li Tianyu was in pain, and his tears came out. However, he did not show any weakness. Originally, he probably could not survive. Now that Li Tianjia actually bullied him like this, he wanted to vent his anger before he died. Therefore, Li Tianyu did not care about the pain. He kicked Li Tianjia's groin with his backhand. He kicked again and again, ignoring the pain of Li Tianjia pulling his groin. "What are you two doing?" Li Ziqing was shocked. He quickly stepped forward to stop it. How could this be? Yang Ming had not done anything yet. These two sons were fighting and killing each other first, and they were so vicious. Don't worry about it. Li Tianyu was dissatisfied with his father's bias. When he was sent overseas, his father nodded and agreed. If it were not for Li Tianjia, the eldest son, how could he be treated like this? Therefore, when he saw his father coming to stop the fight, he subconsciously thought that his father was taking sides. It just so happened that Li Ziqing pulled Li Tianyu's clothes first. Therefore, Li Tianyu's hatred surged into his brain. He raised his right leg. The leg that was about to kick Li Tianjia changed its direction and kicked Li Ziqing. Because the angle and direction of the kick were originally aimed at Li Tianjia's crotch, the angle did not change after the change of direction, so the kick landed on Li Ziqing's crotch. Li Ziqing suddenly squatted on the ground in pain. He covered his crotch in pain. He was a person in his 50s or 60s. That part was naturally much more fragile than a young person. Therefore, with one kick, his crotch exploded, and he rolled directly on the ground. For Li Ziqing's rolling on the ground, Li Tianjia and Li Tianyu did not care. The two of them had reached a state of madness. They did not consider the consequences at all. Li Tianjia's eyes were bloodshot. He had no scruples now, and Li Tianyu was the same. Therefore, the two crazy people kicked and scratched each other until there was a large amount of blood in their crotches. Then, they both fell to the ground unwillingly. At this moment, Li Ziqing had already fainted from the pain. The security guards in the guest house naturally heard the fighting in Li Ziqing's room. They rushed over and found that the Li family's father and son had fallen to the ground. Everyone's crotch had a lot of blood. These three people won't be having a threesome, right? The security guard widened his eyes and quickly reported the situation to his superior. Yang Ming was eating breakfast in the restaurant. He was talking with Huang Xiaofei and his son about how to deal with Li Ziqing's family, but he did not expect to get such news. The Li family's father and son killed each other, and the three of them had their genitals destroyed. Even though Yang Ming had seen a lot of things, he couldn't help but be shocked at this moment. Isn't this too much? I haven't done anything to them yet, and these three people have started to fight among themselves. Isn't their psychological quality too bad? Brother Yang, what should we do now? Should we let them die on their own? Li Chang stood at the scene and was also surprised. Perhaps, the state of Li Ziqing and his son was unprecedented. It could be said to be unprecedented. That won't do. How can we just let them die? Send them to the hospital for treatment. Then, give them an amputation surgery. Yang Ming smiled strangely after listening and said, amputation surgery. Their legs are not broken. Li Chang was somewhat inexplicable after listening to Yang Ming's words. Didn't their genitals explode? I'm talking about the third leg. Yang Ming explained. Ah. Okay. Li Chang understood and hung up the phone. Huang Rongjin, who was listening to Yang Ming's phone call, accidentally spat out the porridge in his mouth. He gave Yang Ming a thumbs up. Yang Ming's amputation was simply too vivid. Huang Xiaofei and Huang Rongtian were relatively far away. At this moment, they still didn't understand what happened on Yang Ming's phone call. They were looking at Yang Ming and Huang Rongjin strangely. Yang Ming hung up the phone. He didn't know if it was funny or not. Chapter 1208. This feeling was very strange, but it was more sad. Li Ziqing's family actually fell in their own panic and uneasiness. When Huang Rongjin told what happened to Li Ziqing's family to his father and brother, the two were also laughing, including Huang Xiaofei, the elder. At the moment, he was laughing so hard that he almost fainted. It's really retribution. I didn't expect Li Ziqing's family to have such a result. Now, without dealing with them, he has been punished. Right, why don't you let them fend for themselves? Asked Huang Rongjin. Sometimes, being alive is more painful than being dead, isn't it? Yang Ming shrugged. Besides, if they are dead, who do I ask for money? That's true. Huang Rongtian nodded. As a man, without money, you can't touch a woman. Being alive is really more painful than being dead. When Li Ziqing's family woke up, they didn't expect them to be lying in the hospital. Who sent them to the hospital? The three people on the hospital bed all looked at each other. Perhaps, Yang Ming couldn't wait to kill them, right? Looking at his father and brother on the hospital bed, Li Tianyu felt a lot of emotions, and his heart was full of regret. Now that he calmed down and thought about it, he was indeed a little too impulsive before. Li Tianjia was also in the same mood. Now, the Li family was completely extinct this time. The bursts of pain from his lower body clearly indicated this point. However, what could he do with regret now? Li Ziqing was also bitter in his heart. Is the Li family really finished this time? How can we be so unlucky again and again? Just when Li Ziqing's family had their own thoughts, the door of the ward was pushed open. Mr. Yang, Li Ziqing and the others are awake. Dr. Jessica said to Yang Ming in the lounge. Yang Ming nodded and stood up. He really didn't know what kind of thoughts he had when he came to see Li Ziqing and his father. This made him feel that it was too dramatic. Yang Ming. Li Ziqing finally saw Yang Ming, and Yang Ming finally came to see him. However, what Li Ziqing didn't expect was that it would actually be under such a situation. Li Ziqing was a little bitter. This was purely a joke. They didn't do anything to him, but his own people had internal strife, and they were all hospitalized. Hospital? Wait, was it Yang Ming who sent them to the hospital? Otherwise, how did they enter the hospital? You sent us to the hospital? Li Ziqing expressed his doubts. Yes. Yang Ming nodded. He didn't need to deny this. Why? Although Li Ziqing was faintly suspicious, after listening to Yang Ming's affirmative answer, he still asked doubtfully. Li Tianjia's father, said Li Ziqing calm. Li Ziqing was stunned and asked in confusion, what money? The 40 billion patakas that were cheated from the Huang family, you haven't forgotten, right? Yang Ming's eyes were cold, and he said faintly, if you have forgotten, then I can remind you. Wasn't that money invested in the mines here? Why do you still want it from me? Li Ziqing asked in surprise after hearing it. You also said that you invested in the mines. What does this have to do with me? What I want from you is the 40 billion patakas that you cheated from the Huang family. Yang Ming waved his hand and said. That's not the same. We can't operate here. Isn't the money for contracting the mines in your hands? Li Ziqing was a little agitated. Yang Ming was simply blackmailing him. No wonder Yang Ming hadn't shown up. It turned out that he wanted to extort more money from him. Li Ziqing, I think you are mistaken. You invested the money that you invested. If you can't operate it, it is your own problem. What does it have to do with me? Yang Ming looked at Li Ziqing with an innocent expression. Right, the hospitalization fee for the three of you is $500 million. You have to pay me this money. Of course, if you think it is expensive, you can also complain to the medical supervision department here. Unfortunately, the medical supervision department here has not been established yet. If you want to complain, I can let Cars set up one now to complain to you. What do you think? Isn't this proposal good? You. After listening to Yang Ming's words, Li Ziqing was so angry that he vomited blood on the spot. This is simply a rascal. However, Yang Ming's words also indirectly reminded Li Ziqing. That was, here, Yang Ming's words were effective. He could even order General Cars. This made Li Ziqing's heart tremble. He finally understood his position. Yes, people under the eaves have to bow their heads. Now, for Yang Ming's resistance, it doesn't make sense at all. Isn't it what he says? I, Li Ziqing, must be at the mercy of others. Mr. Yang, I really have no money in my hands. Li Ziqing was somewhat helpless, but he had to say in a low voice, the cash flow in my hands is invested in the mines here. There is no other money in the family except for real estate. Real estate? Yang Ming frowned. Well, then let's just say that I'm at a disadvantage. You are going to let me go? Li Ziqing asked quickly after listening to Yang Ming's words. Let you go? When did I not let you go? I just want back the 40 billion that originally belonged to me. Isn't this fair? Yang Ming looked at Li Ziqing and said simply and clearly. But I don't have this money. Li Ziqing was a little confused. Didn't Yang Ming say that he would suffer a loss? Isn't that letting him go? But now, it seems that Yang Ming doesn't seem to want to let him go. You don't have money. You can use your real estate to pay off the debt. Yang Ming waved his hand and said, when I said that you would suffer a loss, I meant that the property under your name, I will simply convert it to 40 billion. I won't calculate it carefully. You can directly transfer it to Lele. The 40 billion was originally hers. What? Li Ziqing was furious after listening to Yang Ming's words. He almost jumped out of bed. My real estate is far more than 40 billion. Yang Ming actually gave me 40 billion just like that. Oh, you don't want to? Then you can continue to live here. After Yang Ming finished speaking, he turned and left. Wait! Li Tianyu suddenly shouted. He didn't want to continue to stay in this damn place. He had to go back to Singapore quickly. This place was too horrible. If this continued, he felt that he would go crazy. Why? What's the matter? Yang Ming looked at Li Tianyu. You are ruthless enough. You crippled your father with one kick and your elder brother with another kick. Your end of posterity kick is practiced to the point of perfection. Li Tianyu was pushed by Yang Ming. His face suddenly turned red. Li Ziqing saw Li Tianyu speak. How could he not understand Li Tianyu's meaning? If Yang Ming let them continue to stay in the hospital, he was afraid that in the end, they would really lose their lives. It was better to agree to Yang Ming's request. At least, they could go back alive. Although the real estate was gone, with Li Ziqing's connections, they might be able to make a comeback in a few years. So, thinking of this, Li Ziqing spoke on behalf of Li Tianyu. Okay, I agree to your request, but you have to guarantee that we can return to Singapore safely. I have already said that I didn't want to do anything to you. My purpose is just to get back the money you owe me. Yang Ming said very shamelessly. Li Tianjia and Li Tianyu were taken as hostages, and Li Ziqing was going to return to Singapore with Wang Xiaofei. After all the transfer procedures were completed, Yang Ming would inform the people here to release Li Tianjia and Li Tianyu. The storm caused by Li Ziqing came to a dramatic end. The final result was beyond the expectations of Yang Ming, Wang Xiaofei, and others. Li Ziqing's family had become disabled. They had no descendants, and the people who caused this result were their own people. Victoria also packed her bags and was ready to go with Yang Ming. Wang Xiaoyan rushed to Country X early the next day, preparing to return to Vietnam with the same route as Yang Ming, and then return to China. He had to break up with Huang Lele, but fortunately, Wang Xiaofei would no longer prevent Yang Ming from contacting Huang Lele in the future. Huang Lele could return to work in Macau's airline company. As a result, there would be more opportunities to meet Yang Ming. When they left, they naturally took Wulong and the black man Jim's stowaway boat. This time, Wulong had learned his lesson. Chapter 1209. Along the way, Wulong was very well behaved. For such people who he could not afford to provoke, he would not take the initiative to provoke them again. However, Wulong did not understand what these people were doing. They were not like ordinary stowaways at all. Instead, they were like people with status. In the evening, Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan stayed in a room, and Victoria stayed in another room. As an assassin, Victoria keenly smelled a murderous aura from Wang Xiaoyan. However, Yang Ming did not have such a feeling. The feeling that Yang Ming gave people was ordinary. There was nothing special about him, but he had a unique temperament that made people look up to him. This was different from the feeling that Bobby gave people. Bobby was a kind of tyrannical high pressure, while Yang Ming was like a spring breeze, but full of awe. Perhaps this was the charm of his personality. Victoria was a little puzzled about the fact that Wang Xiaoyan was Yang Ming's woman. She saw the breath of her own kind from Wang Xiaoyan. This woman was definitely a dangerous person. However, Yang Ming asked her to protect his woman. Does Wang Xiaoyan need others to protect her? Victoria was very puzzled. Wang Xiaoyan should have very high skills. She did not need Victoria's protection at all. It was late at night. But Victoria did not fall asleep. She sat quietly on the deck alone, hugging her legs, thinking about what happened in the past 2 days. For her, it was like a dream. From a slave to a bodyguard with a free identity, this was simply a world of difference. Victoria could not accept this reality for a while. She always thought that she had fallen asleep. When she woke up, all of this would be a bubble. Wulong and Jim sat at the other end of the deck. Although Victoria, a beautiful girl, was not far away, Wulong did not have the slightest crooked thoughts. He could see that this Victoria was more frightening than Wang Xiaoyan. Wang Xiaoyan was just scaring him, but this Victoria could really kill him. When he boarded the ship during the day, the murderous look in Victoria's eyes made Wulong, who lived on the tip of the knife every day, shudder. Suddenly, on the surface of the sea, not far away, there was a flickering light. Wulong's expression suddenly turned cold, and Jim on the side also roared. He reached out to a box not far away and took out a shotgun from it. However, just as he held the shotgun in his hand, a dagger appeared on Jim's neck. "Why are you holding a gun?" It was Victoria's voice. Unknowingly, Victoria, who had just been by the side, had appeared behind Jim like a ghost. Jim and Wulong were both shocked. Wulong quickly waved his hand and explained, "Miss, the other side is a pirate ship." "Pirate ship? They're signaling us to stop the ship, or else they'll open fire." "Pirate ship?" Victoria frowned, repeated what Goro said, and looked in the direction of the signal light in the distance. She did not understand the rules of sailing at sea, so she did not understand these signals. When she saw Jim holding a gun, Victoria did not know what he was going to do, so she was vigilant and put the dagger on his neck. "It's a pirate ship." Wulong nodded. People who often travel at sea, who hasn't encountered pirates? But most of them are looking for money. Just give them the valuable things and it will be fine. However, you must also show a posture of resistance. Otherwise, you will be bullied by them. "Give me the gun. You go and inform Mr. Yang." Victoria was not afraid of pirates. She had automatically ignored all opponents. In her opinion, pirates and robbers were also people. As long as she wanted to kill them, she could still kill them. Jim glanced at Wulong and saw Wulong nodding, so he obediently handed the shotgun in his hand to Victoria. In fact, Wulong did not rely on this gun to repel the pirates, but with this gun in hand, it could make these pirates restrain themselves and not be too unscrupulous. People like him, who often traveled at sea, would take such measures when encountering pirates. With a gun in hand, when the pirates came to rob, the pirates would generally leave some leeway. For example, they would not take all the money, and they would not touch the fresh water and food on the ship. It was because a dog would jump over the wall when it was anxious. If these ship owners were forced into a corner, they would also do things that would perish together with the pirates. Therefore, when the ship owner held a gun, it had become an unspoken rule. When the pirates saw it, they would naturally leave some leeway. "Mr. Yang, we encountered pirates." Jim knocked on the door of Yang Ming's room and shouted loudly. Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan had already fallen asleep, but both of them belonged to the kind of people who were extremely sensitive. When Jim came over, they were already awakened by the slight creak of the ship's board. So, at the moment when Jim called, Yang Ming immediately turned over and got out of bed and opened the door. "What's wrong?" "Jim. We encountered pirates," Jim said quickly. "Pirates?" Yang Ming was stunned. He turned his head and looked at the window of the cabin. Sure enough, he saw a faintly discernible signal light in the distance. That was the signal for them to stop the ship. Yang Ming learned about similar ship signals in the set of CDs that Fang Tian gave him. Although the pirate ship was still a distance away from here, and it was still night, Yang Ming could clearly see the situation on the ship. It was a small ship. On the mast of the ship, there was a skull flag. Around the ship, there were 4 turrets. According to Yang Ming's observation, the turrets were real. They were not the kind of paper tigers that were used to scare people. On the deck of the pirate ship, there were 4 burly men standing. All of them had tattoos. One of them was even a one-eyed man. Looking at the back, he saw a person that Yang Ming absolutely did not expect. Yang Ming's eyebrows moved slightly. His brows furrowed into the shape of the Chinese character, Chuan, and then quickly relaxed. Things are getting more and more interesting, aren't they? Since when did this person get involved in this matter? Yang Ming did not have time to further observe in detail. He hurriedly withdrew his gaze because Jim was still standing aside at the moment. Yang Ming couldn't keep looking out of the window. Yes, at sea, encountering pirates is a normal thing. Jim nodded and said. Oh. Then, under normal circumstances, what do you do when encountering pirates? Asked Yang Ming. Under normal circumstances, when we meet pirates, we give them valuable things. In fact, on the ship, there is nothing valuable. The pirates also recognize that we are illegal immigrants. We only have a few tens of thousands of dollars on hand. If we give it to them, they won't make things difficult for us. This kind of thing is commonplace. Jim said, we have guns in our hands, so they won't touch the fresh water and rations on the ship. If they really force us into a corner and we die together, it won't be good for them. Everyone knows that at sea, without fresh water and rations, it's tantamount to waiting to die. Yang Ming nodded after listening and said, let's go. Let's go to the deck and see what tricks this group of pirates is playing. Okay, Mr. Yang, I will go up first. You guys get ready to go up too. As Jim said this, he left the room and quickly ran in the direction of the deck. Yang Ming, they can't be colluding with the pirates to rob us, right? You know, we have hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash and some diamonds. Wang Xiaoyan frowned and whispered to Yang Ming. Hee, do you think Wulong has this courage? Especially after seeing the skills of you and Victoria, will he take this risk? Yang Ming smiled and shook his head. If Yang Ming hadn't seen the person who had absolutely no reason to appear on the pirate ship, Yang Ming wouldn't be so sure. This matter had nothing to do with Wulong. That's true. Wang Xiaoyan listened to Yang Ming's analysis and agreed with Yang Ming's words. Wulong didn't need to take such a big risk to rob them. These people who were the leaders of the gangs were not short of money. Robbing Yang Ming's group was basically equivalent to suicide. Therefore, as long as Wulong's brain was fine, he wouldn't do such a thing. Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan went to the deck and saw Victoria holding a shotgun. She looked coldly at Wulong and the approaching ship in the distance. The pirate ship had gradually approached. The people on the opposite ship listen. The people on the opposite ship listen. When the pirate ship approached, a shout came from the pirate ship. Please don't try to make any resistance. Otherwise, we will fire at you. Similar words were repeated several times, and the pirate ship also stopped beside Wulong's ship. Several ropes were thrown on the side of Wulong's ship, completely controlling Wulong's ship near the pirate ship. The four macho men on the pirate ship, including the one-eyed man, stayed on the pirate ship, and the other three climbed the ropes to Wulong's ship. Hand over all the valuable things. We don't want to do it. You have to be self-aware, said one of the macho men. Wang Xiaoyan and Victoria both looked at Yang Ming at the same time. As long as Yang Ming nodded, the lives of these three people, including the macho man on the pirate ship, would be handed over here at the same time. However, Yang Ming shook his head slightly and whispered to Wang Xiaoyan, give them the diamonds and money. Wang Xiaoyan was slightly stunned, but she still threw a small suitcase in her hand in front of the deck according to what Yang Ming said. Wang Xiaoyan was very surprised why Yang Ming didn't do anything to these pirates. You know, Yang Ming was not a person who would easily suffer a loss. These people actually wanted to rob Yang Ming. Wang Xiaoyan thought that they would die miserably. Yang Ming was still very confident in dealing with these people, but now the main character had not appeared yet. Yang Ming was too lazy to start with these people. Taking advantage of this time, Yang Ming used his special ability to check the other pirate ship. There were not many rooms on the pirate ship, so Yang Ming completed the investigation almost instantly. On the ship, except for the main character, there were no other hidden people. And on this pirate ship, there were only these 4 macho men. However, what surprised Yang Ming was that the main character was actually, "Help! Help me! I was caught by these people." Just as Yang Ming was thinking, a girl's scream for help came from the pirate ship, and the man who stayed on the pirate ship immediately became alert. He raised the gun in his hand and frowned. The unique voice made it easy for Yang Ming to distinguish that this voice was made by the main character on the ship. Even if Yang Ming couldn't hear it, he had already seen who she was just now. The 3 macho men on Garang's ship also paused their hands. Then, they grabbed the black suitcase on the deck. Before they could open it, they were ready to return to the pirate ship. However, at the moment they moved, Yang Ming also moved. Yang Ming quickly grabbed the right leg of the macho man closest to him and pulled him back forcefully. Then, without waiting for him to react, his right hand had already pinched his throat. The macho man fell to the ground without a sound. While Yang Ming killed this macho man, his legs were not idle. His left leg kicked directly and kicked another macho man who wanted to help out of the deck and fell directly into the sea. She looked at Yang Ming with blinking eyes, and her mouth opened into an "oh" shape in disbelief. "Of course, it's me." Yang Ming nodded. "If I didn't recognize your voice, do you think I would care about this kind of thing?" If Yang Ming hadn't seen the previous scene, Yang Ming might have been deceived by Alice's innocent expression at the moment. Unfortunately, Yang Ming was already alert to this woman. Coupled with the scene he just saw, Yang Ming didn't believe her nonsense at all. It was just that Yang Ming didn't want to expose her now. Yang Ming wanted to see what trick she was going to play, so he pretended to chat with Alice naturally. "That's true." Alice sighed. "It seems that I really have to thank God for letting me meet you. Otherwise, as you said, if it were someone else, they might not care about this kind of thing, and they wouldn't have the ability to care about this kind of thing. Those people are professional pirates. They are very powerful. Ordinary people really can't beat them. How do you know that I can beat them?" Yang Ming looked at Alice with a smile that was not a smile. Alice was stunned, then she smiled. "Naturally, I heard from Uncle Buffon that you are very powerful." "Is that so?" Yang Ming didn't say anything because there was no need to say anything. Yang Ming was now very sure that this Alice had a problem. There was definitely a problem. Because before this, Yang Ming saw the scene in Wulong's cabin. Alice was not locked in the cabin, but in a secret place on the deck of the pirate ship. She was giving orders to the one-eyed dragon. At that time, Yang Ming was in a hurry, so he didn't read their lips in detail. When they spoke, they used English very quickly. Yang Ming couldn't read it as smoothly as his mother tongue, so he didn't know what Alice said. However, this did not affect Yang Ming's judgment. Alice locked herself in the room after instructing the one-eyed dragon. Judging from her attitude toward the one-eyed dragon, they were obviously in cahoots. This was simply a show. Chapter 12:10. Alice obviously didn't know that Yang Ming had X-ray vision and telescopic vision, and he could easily see what she had done before. In the dark night, even with binoculars, he couldn't clearly see the situation on the opposite ship. What's more, Alice had been in a secret place. She didn't think that Yang Ming could find out that this was her plan. What's more, in order to carry out this plan, the 4 crew members on the ship were also prepared to die. This had already made a great sacrifice. It could be said that the acting was very good, but Alice would never have thought that Yang Ming had already seen through her plan, but he still didn't know the real reason why Alice did this. Although Yang Ming had the ability to see through other people's thoughts, it required specific conditions, and it varied from person to person. For people like Alice, their willpower would not be so fragile, so it was difficult for Yang Ming to find an opportunity to make a move. "Thank you for saving me, Yang Ming." Alice pecked Yang Ming's face lightly like a dragonfly touching the water, and then said sincerely, "You helped me again." "How can I thank you? You are already mine. I don't want you to be tainted by others, so I saved you only for myself. You don't have to thank me." Yang Ming gently pushed Alice away and said faintly. Yang Ming had always adopted a respectful attitude toward Alice, this woman. Yang Ming was not a weird uncle with a lolicon tendency. However, Alice didn't look like a loli, but more like an 18 or 19-year-old girl with even more exaggerated development. "Hee, it turns out that you were right. You are an overbearing man." Alice's fingertips gently touched Yang Ming's face, full of provocation. "But I like men like you." Yang Ming naturally would not be charmed by Alice. Yang Ming knew early on that this woman was acting, and her acting was good, so Yang Ming would not be fooled at all. Since Alice was willing to act, then Yang Ming was happy to cooperate with her to see what ulterior purpose she ultimately had. "Really? But I am not interested in you for the time being." Yang Ming shrugged and moved Alice's hand away from his face. "Take good care of what belongs to me. Don't lose it." "Hee, don't you want to ask me how I got here?" Alice saw that Yang Ming was really unmoved, so she put away the idea of continuing to tease Yang Ming. Puzzling things always have puzzling reasons. Since they are puzzling, I don't want to know the reason. Yang Ming said indifferently. It was not that he was really not curious, but he knew very well that even if he asked, Alice would definitely talk nonsense and come up with a set of well-prepared words to deal with him. So instead of this, Yang Ming might as well not ask. "It's not puzzling." Alice shook her head. Her pair of big watery eyes looked at Yang Ming, and her cheeks gradually blushed. "Do you know, Yang Ming? I fell in love with you, really. I came from Europe to Country X to find you, but my ship encountered pirates on the way. My 2 followers were killed by them. When they saw that I was a girl, and I was very beautiful, they did not kill me. Instead, they kidnapped me to the ship. But fortunately, they did not have any bad thoughts about me, so they were killed by you. Looking for me." Yang Ming saw Alice's affectionate look, and his whole body trembled. He did not expect this woman to act so realistically, but at this moment, Yang Ming was not willing to expose her on the spot, because Yang Ming had not yet figured out Alice's ultimate intentions. It was not worth it to shed all pretense of cordiality now. "Yes, Yang Ming." Alice pursed her lips. She had a lovely look on her face, but her tone was firm. "I realize that you are really charming, so I'm going to find you and return your things to you." "My things? What things?" Yang Ming was nervous because of Alice. When Alice said that, Yang Ming immediately asked subconsciously. "My body." After Alice said this, she took the opportunity to fall into Yang Ming's arms. "I want to give you," Yang Ming frowned. He was getting more and more confused about Alice's true intentions. In this case, Yang Ming believed that if he really wanted her, Alice could not resist Yang Ming even if she wanted to. In the end, she could only admit that she was unlucky. As for Alice and himself, they should be 2 people who didn't have any interactions. Their meeting was completely accidental, without any inevitability or premeditation. After accepting old Buffon as an apprentice, Yang Ming could have an intersection with Alice. Otherwise, Yang Ming would not go to Europe, and there would be no chance to meet Alice. Alice could be said to be a character that he came into contact with under these coincidences. Although Yang Ming had killed Dorsk on this girl's ship, Yang Ming did not think that Alice entangled him and had anything to do with this matter. Okay, don't mess around. There are still people waiting for us on the ship over there. Yang Ming took a deep breath. For the temptation of a woman, especially the temptation of a beautiful woman, he believed that many people would find it difficult to refuse, regardless of whether there were feelings. Yang Ming and Alice were in this situation now. Therefore, Yang Ming was really afraid that he would not be able to control himself and do something that was out of control. Alice listened to Yang Ming's words and glared at Yang Ming with some resentment. Then, she nodded bitterly. Okay, then let's go. Seeing that Yang Ming actually brought back a delicate beauty, Wulong's eyes suddenly widened. However, due to the fear of Wang Xiaoyan and Victoria previously, Wulong learned to be obedient this time. After glancing at Alice, he hurriedly withdrew his gaze. He didn't want to be threatened again. Wang Xiaoyan had seen Alice when she was in Europe. When she saw that Alice actually came back from the pirate ship with Yang Ming, she was slightly stunned, but she did not say anything. She just nodded faintly to Alice. Miss Wang, we meet again. Alice was friendly and extended her hand to Wang Xiaoyan. Wang Xiaoyan reached out and shook hands with Alice, but she did not show much enthusiasm. Obviously, Wang Xiaoyan also noticed that this woman was not right, so she kept a certain distance from her appropriately. This was not because Wang Xiaoyan's character was cold, but it depended on who she was with. Just like for Huang Lele, Wang Xiaoyan showed great enthusiasm. Even Wang Xiaoyan herself had some doubts. Was she still herself when she was with Huang Lele? She was like a complete little woman. But now, for Alice, Wang Xiaoyan could not bring out any interest. Let me send you back to Europe first. Yang Ming glanced at Alice and said helplessly, call your entourage and ask them to send a ship to pick us up. Fortunately, Yang Ming did not go far. It would not be too hard to turn back now. Wulong, although he felt that it was a little troublesome, he did not dare to say it. He was very afraid of Yang Ming. No need. Alice refused the mobile phone that Yang Ming handed over and waved her hand. I have decided. I want to follow you. Wherever you go, I will be there. Follow me. After Yang Ming listened to Alice's words, he really felt a little dumbfounded. Yang Ming really did not know what Alice's purpose was. She actually came from Europe. After such a ruse, she wanted to follow him. Yeah, only you can protect me. Alice nodded firmly. Although you may not love me now, I will make you fall in love with me. After Wulong listened to Alice's words, he suddenly coughed. Why does this beauty favor the man in front of me? Wulong was very envious of Yang Ming. However, some things were useless even if he was envious. These women were not easy to provoke, and only a man like Yang Ming could subdue them. Alice, you said that you want to follow me back to China. Yang Ming looked at Alice. This chick's expression did not seem to be joking. Yes. Otherwise, why do you think that I came so far to find you? I even encountered pirates on the way and almost lost my virginity. Why? Alice nodded affirmatively and walked slowly to Yang Ming. Her hands could not help but open. It seemed that she wanted to hug Yang Ming. I say, is this woman's brain sick? Yang Ming doesn't like you, and you still want to get close to him. Before Alice approached Yang Ming, she was pushed away by Wang Xiaoyan. This Alice's pretentious performance made Wang Xiaoyan very uncomfortable. I say, Miss Wang, you don't need to care about me and Yang Ming, right? Are you jealous? Alice turned her head, and her charming expression became cold. Men are most annoyed by jealous women like you. I advise you to save it, or sooner or later, you will be abandoned. Do you believe that I will kill you? Wang Xiaoyan suddenly stretched out her right hand, and a transparent dagger flashed a cold light toward Alice. Paw! Wang Xiaoyan's wrist was caught by Alice. Crazy. Alice snorted coldly and pushed away Wang Xiaoyan's hand. It turns out that you are also a martial artist. Wang Xiaoyan's mouth smiled slightly. I don't know how you were hijacked by those pirates. Just now, Wang Xiaoyan felt that this Alice was a bit strange, so she deliberately found a fault to test her. She didn't expect that Alice really had kung fu. Otherwise, with Wang Xiaoyan's skill, she would never be so easily caught by Alice. However, Wang Xiaoyan didn't really want to kill Alice, but she showed a flaw to her. However, Alice didn't know that Wang Xiaoyan was just testing her. Wang Xiaoyan was using Yang Ming as an excuse to make trouble. A woman could do anything for a man, especially for a love rival. Therefore, Alice was very clear about this. She wasn't sure if Wang Xiaoyan was trying to scare her, or she really wanted to end her on this dark ship. For her own safety, Alice had to block Wang Xiaoyan's attack, and Wang Xiaoyan saw through the fact that she had kung fu. Under Wang Xiaoyan's interrogation, Alice's expression suddenly panicked, but it was gone in a flash. They fired a smoke bomb, and I fainted at that time. Alice said calmly. It turned out to be like this. Wang Xiaoyan still wanted to say something, but she was stopped by Yang Ming's eyes. Wang Xiaoyan snorted and stopped continuing to make trouble for Alice. Yang Ming found that something was wrong with Alice before, but he didn't have time to tell Wang Xiaoyan, so it led to this scene. Yang Ming didn't want Wang Xiaoyan to expose Alice's plot too early, so he stopped her. However, Yang Ming's eyes were different in Alice's eyes. In her view, Yang Ming was protective of the fairer sex and stopped the fight between the two women, so she looked at Wang Xiaoyan proudly and stuck out her chest. Alice was arranged to share a room with Victoria. It seemed that on the surface, it was because there were not enough rooms, so she could only live with Victoria. In fact, Yang Ming's intention was to let Victoria look after Alice. Victoria naturally understood. Yang Ming didn't need to say anything. She shouldered this heavy responsibility. All right, Alice, you can tell me your plan now. Yang Ming sat down, face to face with Alice, and began to talk about her problems frankly. Although Yang Ming also knew that Alice couldn't tell the truth, he could guess some of her thoughts from her lies. I haven't thought about it yet, but maybe it's to go to school with you. Alice blinked her eyes and said to Yang Ming. Go to school with me. Yang Ming had a headache. Originally, the relationships with these women around him had not been straightened out. Now, a crazy Alice came out. How could Yang Ming not have a headache? Yeah, that's the plan for the time being. Alice nodded solemnly. I feel that the best time is the time when you're in love on campus. I've lived my life in vain. There's no meaning to it. Now, I'm finally ready to enjoy my life. Well, Alice, to be honest, I don't know what you are going to do with me, but there are some things that I don't want you to do too much. I don't want to cause some conflicts because of you. You know what I mean. Yang Ming did not pursue what Alice was going to do, but said with some threat and warning, if you are really here for me, then I hope you can follow the normal rules of the game. Yang Ming's words were not clear, but they had a double meaning. It sounded like Alice liked Yang Ming, so she came. If she wanted to pursue Yang Ming, then she had to follow the rules of the game and not destroy some existing balance. However, Yang Ming's intention was to let Alice have self-respect. She could use whatever moves she had, but she shouldn't use some underhanded tricks to create a diversion. Because Yang Ming simply didn't believe that Alice would fall in love with him, this man whom she had only met a few times. After that, without waiting for Alice to answer, Yang Ming stood up and went out of Alice and Victoria's room. Did he suspect something? Alice looked at Yang Ming's back and hesitated. Or, he just doesn't want me to destroy his love life. I hope it's just the latter. However, the woman named Wang Xiaoyan around him has obviously become suspicious. I have to guard against her in the future. When Yang Ming returned to his room, Wang Xiaoyan was already sitting on the bed waiting for him, but her face was facing away. Apparently, she was angry with Yang Ming. What's wrong? Yang Ming smiled and sat on the bed, holding Wang Xiaoyan's shoulder. You're back. I thought you were going to spend the night in that woman's room. Wang Xiaoyan snorted. For Yang Ming's former woman, Wang Xiaoyan was not qualified to be jealous, but for this woman whom Yang Ming met with her, Wang Xiaoyan would naturally throw a little temper. Are you angry? Yang Ming didn't expect Wang Xiaoyan to be really angry because of Alice. That woman has a problem. There is really a problem. Wang Xiaoyan snorted again. However, some people are obsessed. It is difficult to see the essence of things. Only after suffering a loss will they know this. Ah. Yang Ming was stunned and then smiled bitterly. Yan Yan, do you think that I am really that kind of person who is obsessed? If you are not obsessed, then you are obsessed. Wang Xiaoyan snorted. Yan Yan, in fact, I have already found something wrong with Alice. Yang Ming whispered, I have been suspicious of her since I was in Europe. Really? After Wang Xiaoyan listened, she looked at Yang Ming with some suspicion. Although she was not as angry as before, she was still somewhat uncertain. Of course, it's true. As Yang Ming said, he told Wang Xiaoyan about the scene he experienced in the casino in Europe. Ah. It turns out that she wants to harm you. Wang Xiaoyan was shocked. Should I kill her tonight? So that she won't harm you again. That's not necessary. I also want to keep her. I don't want to alert the enemy for the time being. I want to see what her ultimate purpose is and whether there is something deeper behind the scenes. Yang Ming said, so, I just stopped you from continuing to expose her. Now, it has not reached the point of shedding all pretense of cordiality. It turned out to be like this. Then you didn't want to say it earlier. Wang Xiaoyan breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out that Yang Ming did not take a fancy to Alice's beauty before he made the previous gesture. Why did I say it earlier? How could I have the chance to say it in a tense situation? Before that, I didn't know that I could meet her again. Yang Ming said as he spread his hands. So, there was one more passenger on the ship. Wulong could only squat in the corner and smoke a cigarette. He pondered in his heart. This Alice really knows Kung Fu. It seems that my guess is right. She is also someone who can't be provoked. This was Wulong's most cowardly sailing trip ever. There were 3 beautiful women on the ship, but he could only watch and not touch them. However, Wulong himself did not feel that there was anything cowardly. What is cowardly? This is called a great man knows when to yield and when not to. If you are stubborn, then you are playing with your own life. Chapter 12:11. After getting off the boat, they still returned to Vietnam by plane. After more than 10 hours of travel, the person who received them was still Fatty Lee, Yang Ming. Fatty Lee rushed to the plane where Yang Ming was. You're back. And I'm back, Fatty. Yang Ming smiled and hugged him. The relationship between Yang Ming and Fatty Lee could no longer be linked by simple interests. After the previous battle of life and death, the friendship between the two people was not the kind that could be easily destroyed. Finally, I can put my heart in my stomach. Fatty Lee breathed a sigh of relief. I was worried that something would happen to you along the way. You know, that side is not the range that I can control. It's nothing. There is indeed a snakehead who is restless, but after being taught a lesson, he became honest. Yang Ming shrugged and said indifferently. Ha! Fatty Lee thought of Yang Ming's skill and understood. Who could take advantage of Yang Ming? Is the situation here stabilized? Yang Ming walked and asked Fatty Lee. It's all stabilized. Now, the whole area is under my control. Fatty Lee said, in the future, if you want to smuggle in, just look for me directly. How many times can I smuggle in? Yang Ming smiled bitterly. This time, I don't know when I will see you again in the future. Yeah. Fatty Lee also had some emotions. When he and Fang Tian parted, it was more than 10 years. How many decades can there be in a person's life? However, you can take your wife back to China to visit often. Yang Ming saw Fatty Lee's sadness and patted his shoulder. I will. Fatty Lee said until here and paused. He wanted to continue to say something, but he stopped. Fatty, what's wrong with you? Is there something wrong? Yang Ming also saw Fatty Lee's hesitation, so he asked. Yang Ming, I have something to ask you, but I also know that this is a bit troublesome for you, so I don't know how to say it. Fatty Lee sighed and said slowly. Sure enough, there is something. Yang Ming patted Fatty Lee's shoulder and said, Fatty, if you have something to say, just say it. The relationship between the two of us is also from life and death. There is nothing that can't be said. If I can do it, then I will definitely help you. Fatty Lee listened to Yang Ming's words, and his heart was moved. Indeed, the relationship between him and Yang Ming could not be replicated. The experience between the two people were destined to be solid and irreplaceable. Although Yang Ming's help seemed to be more, how could a comrade in arms in the trench be distinguished from each other? Actually, this is the case. Fatty Lee said, I don't want to talk about this when you just got off the plane, but you are going to leave soon. I really have to say it. Fatty Lee, when did you become such a long-winded person? If you have something to say, just say it. Yang Ming kicked Fatty Lee and laughed. Why are you so long-winded? Well, then I will say it directly. Fatty Lee clenched his teeth and said, Brother Yang, forget it. I will let Yang Mei talk to you later. Yang Mei. Yang Ming was slightly stunned and immediately remembered that Yang Mei was Fatty Lee's wife. Seeing Fatty Lee so hesitant, Yang Ming had no way. He could only wait until he saw Yang Mei. At this moment, in the middle of the night, Yang Ming wanted to rest here for a while. He would leave for China at dawn. The resting place was naturally Fatty Lee's home. Yang Mei cooked a few side dishes. Apparently, she knew that Yang Ming would come back today, so she carefully prepared them. Although they were very simple, they looked, smelled, and tasted good. Yang Ming, Wang Xiaoyan, Victoria, and Alice were all hungry. Alice, you are a woman who is usually aloof. I don't know if you are used to the food. If you are not used to it, then don't eat it. Wang Xiaoyan frowned when she saw Alice pick up the chopsticks. Apparently, she felt that this disposable chopstick was not very hygienic. Wang Xiaoyan's words were obviously not out of concern for Alice, but sarcasm. Alice naturally heard it. After glaring at Wang Xiaoyan, Alice said, Who said that I am not used to it? Yang Ming shook his head and said nothing, but Fatty Lee had a bitter smile on his face. He didn't know the identity of the woman brought by Yang Ming, so he didn't dare to speak casually. Alice frowned. It was because she had been in the upper class for a long time that she had that kind of subconscious reaction. But when she really sat down and ate, she didn't care so much. Instead, she ate with relish. Sister-in-law, your cooking is really good. It seems that Fatty Lee is usually blessed. Yang Ming smiled as he ate. Hee, Mr. Yang, you are used to eating good food. Occasionally, you eat something light and think that it tastes good. If you eat it every day, you won't think so. Yang Mei smiled. Fatty Lee waited for Yang Ming and the others to finish eating. He coughed twice to Yang Mei, and Yang Mei immediately understood. "Mr. Yang, I have something to trouble you with." Fatty Lee may have said half of it before. Yang Mei hesitated and said, "Sister-in-law, if there is anything, just say it." I asked Fatty Lee to say it before, but he was embarrassed. "I have said that as long as I can do it, I will do it," Yang Ming said. "Actually, this is the case. Mr. Yang, you see. When you leave, can you take Yang Hua with you?" Yang Mei glanced at Yang Hua, who was eating silently with her head down, and then said to Yang Ming, "Yang Hua, take her away." Yang Ming was slightly stunned, and then he understood the meaning of Fatty Lee and Yang Mei. They wanted him to take Yang Hua back to China, far away from here. Yeah. Fatty Lee also threw caution to the wind at the moment and nodded. The education and environment here are far worse than over there, and following me and Yang Mei. You also know that although the situation is stable now, maybe one day, the enemy will come to us. Yang Mei and I don't want to involve Yang Hua, so I asked you to take her away. Just take her back to her hometown. Her uncle is there. That's the case. I thought it was something else. Yang Ming nodded immediately after listening. This is very easy. Don't worry. I will do it, but is Yang Hua willing to be separated from you? When Yang Ming asked this, his eyes moved to Yang Hua on the side. Yang Hua's body moved slightly, but she still lowered her head. Apparently, she had talked to Fatty Lee and Yang Mei before and reached a consensus. Emotionally, she is naturally unwilling, but the environment there is good. Yang Mei and I have already told her, said Fatty Lee. Well, then take her with you. Yang Ming agreed. As for taking her back to her hometown, it will take a few days. I have to stay in Songjiang for a few days to deal with some things. That's no problem. Yang Hua is not in a hurry. Yang Mei said quickly, Mr. Yang, if you have something to do, you can do it first. The matter was settled like this. Yang Ming could also understand the mood of Fatty Lee and Yang Mei. Yang Hua was still young. She should have her own life and not be in Vietnam. She should be living with them on tenterhooks. Yang Hua's identity also doomed her to be unable to marry an ordinary man in the future. The person she married could only be a type of person like Fatty Lee. Yang Mei didn't want her sister to be like this, so the only way was to leave here and start a new life. With Yang Ming as an opportunity, Fatty Lee and Yang Mei made up their minds to make such a decision. Because Yang Ming and Fatty Lee were friends who had gone through life and death, Fatty Lee naturally trusted Yang Ming. If it were other people, Fatty Lee would definitely not let them take Yang Hua away. Fatty Lee had too much contact with the dark side. He knew that if a beautiful and lovely little girl like Yang Hua was entrusted to a person with bad intentions, it was very likely that she would end up being sold to a nightclub as a prostitute. Of course, this was still good. It was even more likely that she would be sold to a remote mountainous area to marry a disabled person as a wife. It was scary just thinking about it. But Yang Ming would never do that. Although he didn't know Yang Ming for a long time, Fatty Lee trusted Yang Ming, especially since Yang Ming's other identity was an assassin. Assassins were more trustworthy people. With these 2 points, Fatty Lee was relieved to entrust Yang Hua to Yang Ming. In fact, with Fatty Lee's own strength, it was not difficult to bring Yang Hua back to China and find her uncle. But the key problem was that Yang Mei was not at ease. Yang Mei and Yang Hua had left that place for many years. They didn't know what had become of their hometown. If they left Yang Hua there without a care, not to mention whether the uncle they had never met would take her in, even if he did, it was uncertain whether he would treat her well. With a strong backer like Yang Ming over there, Yang Mei was relieved. At least, with Yang Ming looking after her, Yang Hua would not suffer any grievances. Yang Ming actually understood this. Since Fatty Li trusted him so much, Yang Ming would not fail to live up to his trust. He would definitely let Yang Hua have a good life. It was dawn. It was time for Yang Ming to leave. Yang Hua and Yang Mei hugged each other and didn't want to separate for a long time. Her eyes were already red from crying, and her voice was hoarse. Fatty Li and Yang Ming stood aside and sighed. Well, Yang Hua, follow your brother Yang Ming. That is your life. You will have a good future. Yang Mei patted Yang Hua's shoulder and said, Sister, you promised me that within 2 years, you will end things here with brother-in-law and come to me. Yang Hua said with a sob. And, your brother-in-law and I will come to you as soon as possible. Yang Mei nodded. Yang Hua silently let go of her sister's body. She actually understood that her sister was just comforting her. How could brother-in-law's business here be ended just like that? 2 years, I'm afraid that even 10 years may not be able to end it. After this farewell, when will we meet again? It was still Fatty Li who drove Yang Ming to the boat, but this time, Fatty Li did not go back with Yang Ming. Instead, he arranged a car to pick up Yang Ming on the opposite side. Yang Hua sat quietly in the back of the car, holding her cheeks with both hands. No one knew what she was thinking. She looked back, but she could no longer see the scene in Vietnam. From today onwards, Yang Hua understood that she would face another kind of life. Yang Hua, you stay in Songjiang for a few days. Wait for me to deal with the things in my hands, then I will arrange to send you to your hometown to find your uncle. Yang Ming turned his head, glanced at Yang Hua, and sighed. Yang Hua nodded in silence. She already knew at this moment that Yang Ming was not the same kind of person as Fatty Li, so at this moment, there was no previous hostility. Her silence was entirely because of sadness. Her sister, who had lived with her for many years, was separated from her today. It would be a long time before they could meet again. Victoria, Wang Xiaoyan, and Alice each occupied a row of independent seats. This was a Toyota coaster. There were a lot of seats, so they were able to be separated. Victoria was a person who did not like to talk much, and her identity was special. Naturally, she would not talk too much to others. Wang Xiaoyan was more disgusted with Alice. Alice was afraid that Wang Xiaoyan would notice something, so she was unwilling to say anything to Wang Xiaoyan. Wang Kejin looked at the information in his hand, and he was a little irritated. This was just a mission to assassinate an ordinary college student. He had wasted so many days. According to the information, there were 3 places where Yang Ming often appeared. One was the school area and dormitory apartment building of Songjiang Industry University, one was the family area of Songjiang Mingyang Heavy Industry, and the other was the villa in Huashang District. After waiting in these 3 places for many days, Wang Kejin did not see Yang Ming's trace. He even suspected that the information provided in the information was wrong. However, after confirming with the school's academic affairs office, Yang Ming was indeed a student of Songjiang Industry University, and the family area of Songjiang Mingyang Heavy Industry was indeed the home of Yang Ming's parents. The villa's name was also Yang Ming's name in the community property office. This made Wang Kejin puzzled, but he could only continue to wade back and forth in these 3 places. He did not expect such a simple mission to be so troublesome. If this mission could not be completed, then what face did he have to return to the butterfly family? How could he have the face to become a disciple of Martial Uncle Tombstone? The mobile phone that he carried with him vibrated twice. Wang Kejin took out the mobile phone and glanced at it. It was his instructor who called. Wang Kejin sighed slightly. My first mission has not been completed yet. I don't know if the instructor will scold me. Hello, instructor. Hello. Wang Kejin picked up the phone and said seriously. Kejin, how is the execution of the mission? Why is there no news for so many days? In the past few days, other instructors have mentioned you. The instructor's voice had some concern and some slight blame. Instructor, my mission has not been completed yet. Wang Kejin braced himself and said. Oh. The mission has not been completed yet. Hee, how can an underworld boss in a city be assassinated so easily? The instructor smiled comfortingly. However, you have to hurry up. No, instructor. This is the first mission. I have not completed it yet. Wang Kejin said helplessly. Although he knew that if he said this, the instructor might be disappointed with him, he could not lie. The first mission. The mission to assassinate a college student and his girlfriend. The instructor was stunned and asked incredulously, this mission is so simple. Why haven't you completed it yet? Simple, it is very simple, but I have been waiting for so many days and I have not seen any trace of the target. Wang Kejin hated Yang Ming in his heart. It was all because of this Yang Ming that he fell into this situation. If he could not be accepted by Master Tombstone, then all his previous efforts would have been in vain. Therefore, Wang Kejin blamed all of this on Yang Ming's head. He couldn't wait to tear Yang Ming into pieces. It turned out to be the case. The instructor said after listening, then this is not your fault. However, you have to speed up the investigation. This mission has been accepted for a long time, and the person who issued the mission has not been given an explanation. This has an impact on our credibility. I understand, instructor. Don't worry, I will hurry up. Wang Kejin promised. Well, keep in touch with me at any time if there is news. The instructor said. Yang Ming first arranged for Victoria, Alice, and Yang Hua to stay in Guojianchao's hotel. The hotel had been renovated and renamed the Songjiang Mingyang International Hotel. It was successfully upgraded to a 5-star hotel. Victoria had no opinion on this. Since she was here, she would take it as it came. She understood that Yang Ming still needed some time to arrange her identity, so she was not in a hurry. Yang Hua also had the same idea as Victoria, but she was living in such a luxurious hotel for the first time. She was not quite used to it. Looking at the magnificent room in front of her, compared with the broken house in Vietnam, it was a world of difference. Yang Hua finally understood why so many girls were racking their brains to get married here. This was a qualitative change in life. It was a completely different world. Looking at the cautious look of the hotel waiter, Yang Hua also knew that Yang Ming must be a very powerful person here. She thought that her brother-in-law was also very powerful in Vietnam, but compared with the two, the things that her brother-in-law's power brought were too little. Yang Hua did not like girls who were greedy for vanity. She thought so much because she wanted her sister, Yang Mei, to come here and enjoy life. Her sister was not much older than her, but what she had to bear was much more than her. Alice was obviously used to living in a similar hotel. She did not seem to have any discomfort, but she was annoyed that Yang Ming left her here and ignored her. When Yang Ming left before, he told Victoria and Yang Hua, but he did not say anything to Alice. This was not that Yang Ming forgot, but it was obvious that Yang Ming did it deliberately. Yang Ming wanted to give her the cold shoulder. Of course, Yang Ming must also know that with Alice's identity and wealth in her hands, she did not need any help from Yang Ming in Songjiang. As for going to school with Yang Ming, she could do it herself. Chapter 12:12. Brother, I have arrived in Songjiang. After Alice waited for Yang Ming to leave, she quickly dialed a number with her satellite phone. She didn't use the phone in the room, although the phone in the room could also make an outside call at any time. However, Alice was a more cautious person. She was afraid that the phone in the room would be monitored, so she didn't use the phone in the room. "Little AI, you have arrived." The person on the other side asked with concern, "How was it? Did you reveal any flaws along the way?" "There shouldn't be, but that Wang Xiaoyan is very alert. She noticed that I know Kung Fu, and I almost exposed it. Fortunately, I covered up the lie in time," said Alice. "That Wang Xiaoyan. And she is indeed a troublesome character. What annoys me the most is that she and Yang Ming actually got together and disrupted my plan again and again." The person on the other side seemed a little irritated. "This plan has been delayed for too long. If we can't solve Yang Ming and alert that person, we will be finished." "Well, I understand. I will find a chance to start as soon as possible." Alice didn't know why, but when she said this, her heart felt like it was stung. She was a little uncomfortable. However, Yang Ming's skill is not worse than mine. This opportunity is not so easy to find. Men are most likely to relax their vigilance when they are infatuated. "Alice, you understand what I mean," said the person on the other side. Although the man on the other side couldn't bear to let Alice sacrifice herself, sometimes, in order to achieve great things, he had to make some sacrifices. "I know," said Alice calmly. From the beginning, when she received this task, she had already planned to sacrifice herself. "Well, if there is nothing, don't contact me, so as not to be discovered by Yang Ming. If he is vigilant and suspicious of you, it won't be good." The person on the other side said, "We are all in Songjiang. It is too dangerous to contact too many people. Brother, don't worry. I know what to do." After Alice finished speaking, she hung up the phone, but there was an indescribable feeling in her heart. Was it uncomfortable, or what? From the perspective of a third party, Yang Ming was an innocent person, but because of a strange combination of circumstances, it affected the interests of her brother. Sometimes, it was hard to tell who was good and who was evil. It was just that the perspective was different, and there were changes in the inside. Alice sighed slightly. She didn't have time to think about these things. She still had a lot of things to do. This time, Alice didn't use the satellite phone. She picked up the phone in the room because there was no need to hide it from Yang. "Hello, is this Kate?" "I'm Alice." The person Alice was talking to was the heiress of a business family in Malaysia. She was slightly older than Alice and had many businesses in the country. "Ah, it's you, Sister Alice. How do you have time to call me?" Although Kate was the heir of a big family in Malaysia with a net worth of billions, compared with Alice, she was worse. She had to rely on Alice to survive in the European market, so she was particularly enthusiastic about Alice's phone call. "Kate, I am in China. You have a lot of connections here, right?" Alice asked. "I want to go to Songjiang's Industry University now. Do you have any connections to let me enter this school?" "It's Songjiang, right?" Kate thought about it and said, "No problem. I am very familiar with Director Song of the Education Department. I help to facilitate the exchange between several local and Malaysian schools. Then I will trouble you with this matter, Kate." Alice didn't expect to solve the problem with just a phone call. Sometimes, it was easy to deal with the person who contacted the matter. Although it was easy for Alice to enter Songjiang Industry University with the help of her brother's relationship, if Yang Ming really investigated how she entered this school, it was easy to expose the layer of relationship behind Alice. Therefore, Alice just used the relationship that she had cultivated over the years, not her own relationship here. This matter was not a big deal for Kate. It was nothing more than selling a favor to Alice. When Director Song heard that Alice came from Europe to study here and was a friend of Kate, he easily agreed. Therefore, Alice entered Songjiang Industry University as an exchange student. Victoria's student identity was not difficult. Yang Ming let Ho Jinhan arrange it. Yang Ming had asked old Buffon to create a real identity for Victoria in Europe, so Victoria came to China this time as an international student. In this way, Songjiang Industry University had 2 more international students. However, the strange thing was that these 2 international students were Chinese. With Ho Jinhan's social relationship, it was not difficult to arrange for a student to study in the university. These were not things that Yang Ming worried about. Even Ho Jinhan didn't need to worry about it. His own people were responsible for it. After Yang Ming returned to Songjiang, the first thing was naturally to call Qin Mengyan. During this trip, with Huang Lele and Wang Xiaoyan accompanying him, Yang Ming didn't seem to be lonely. After returning, he naturally felt guilty to Qin Mengyan. Qin Mengyan, Zhou Jiejie, and Lin Jiyun had already fallen asleep. During this time, Yang Ming wasn't at home, which allowed the 3 girls to get along more freely. Without the previous restraint, their relationship was more harmonious. This was what Yang Ming didn't expect. When Yang Ming was there, Qin Mengyan was always cautious, Lin Jiyun didn't fight for it, and Zhou Jiejie was shy and restrained. This made the 4 of them form a very strange relationship. They were a little awkward when they met each other. Since Yang Ming was gone, there was no such restraint and restriction. There were many topics between women, apart from the man who made them feel awkward. Therefore, in these few days, the relationship between Qin Mengyan, Zhou Jiejie, and Lin Jiyun had improved by leaps and bounds. Although occasionally, some people would mention Yang Ming, which caused a temporary awkwardness between them, after a long time of awkwardness, they became accustomed to it. After all, Yang Ming wasn't around. Even later, Yang Ming had become a topic for several people to make fun of each other. Qin Mengyan rubbed her sleepy eyes. She didn't know who was calling so late at night. Lin Jiyun and Zhou Jiejie on the side were obviously woken up by the ringtone. Especially Zhou Jiejie, who seemed to have fallen asleep and was awakened by the ringtone. She was staring with a face full of question mark as she looked for the source of the sound. Qin Mengyan picked up the phone and didn't look at the caller ID. She said in a daze, "Hello. Who is it? Dear, are you asleep?" When Yang Ming heard Qin Mengyan's dazed voice, he knew that Qin Mengyan must be asleep. Yang Ming was very sorry for disturbing her rest. However, because Yang Ming returned to Songjiang, it was already more than 11:00 in the middle of the night. This was not something he could control. He wasn't Iron Man who could fly, so he could only come back by car. "Who is your dear?" Qin Mengyan asked inexplicably. She subconsciously thought that the phone call was wrong. She directly hung up, threw the phone aside, and fell on the bed again. "Mengyan, who called?" Zhou Jiejie finally woke up. "I don't know. When I picked up the phone, he called me dear." Qin Mengyan waved her hand. She was still in a half-asleep state. "Dear? Could it be Yang Ming calling?" Zhou Jiejie was stunned and casually made a joke. Qin Mengyan sat up from the bed again and instantly woke up a lot. "It seems to be Yang Ming." After that, Qin Mengyan quickly took the phone and glanced at the call record. It was indeed Yang Ming's name. Qin Mengyan said with a bitter face, "Sure enough, I just fell asleep and hung up." Zhou Jiejie listened to Qin Mengyan's words and remembered Qin Mengyan's previous sentence, "Who is your dear?" She suddenly laughed. "Mengyan, you were too fierce just now, you're still laughing." "Didn't I fall asleep?" Qin Mengyan said with some helplessness. "Then hurry up and call." Lin Jiyun also covered her mouth and couldn't help but laugh. "I hung up. Otherwise, Jiyun, you help me call." Qin Mengyan thought about her own behavior and felt a little embarrassed. If Yang Ming asked, it would be so embarrassing. So, Chen Mengyan threw the phone to Lin Jiyun. Okay, I'll call. Lin Jiyun smiled and took the phone and pressed the replay button. The phone was quickly connected. Yang Ming looked at the phone that was hung up inexplicably and smiled bitterly. The phone rang. Seeing that it was Chen Mingyan's number, Yang Ming shook his head helplessly. He didn't need to ask. It must be that Chen Mengyan fell asleep. Hello, Mengyan. Yang Ming didn't call Chen Mengyan directly this time to avoid Chen Mengyan hanging up again. It's me. Lin Jiyun said quickly, just now, Sister Mengyan was sleeping, so, hee, it's Jiyun. Yang Ming heard Lin Jiyun's voice. I know. You must be sleeping at this time. I didn't disturb you, right? No. Lin Jiyun shook her head. We just slept not long ago. I just want to tell you that I'm back. I have arrived in Songjiang. Yang Ming said, you should rest first. I will find you tomorrow morning. Okay. Lin Jiyun replied cleverly. How is it? When Lin Jiyun hung up the phone, Chen Mengyan asked quickly. Yang Ming said that he has returned to Songjiang. He asked us to rest first and come to see us tomorrow morning. Lin Jiyun said truthfully. I see. Chen Mengyan was slightly disappointed. She estimated that if she didn't show sleepiness, Yang Ming would be back tonight. During the time when Yang Ming was gone, although Chen Mengyan didn't say it on the surface, she still missed Yang Ming very much in her heart. However, because Lin Jiyun and Zhou Jiejia were next to her, Chen Mengyan couldn't show too much enthusiasm. Otherwise, she would be laughed at. Therefore, Chen Mengyan could only give up the idea of continuing to call Yang Ming. She nodded and said, okay, then let's continue to sleep. I'm really sleepy. Yang Ming, this guy, is really annoying. He called me in the middle of the night. Yeah, let's go to sleep. Zhou Jiejia licked her lips and resisted her smile. Because anyone could see how happy Chen Mengyan was. She didn't blame Yang Ming at all. Yang Ming threw the phone on the driver's seat of the car. After arriving in Songjiang, Yang Ming changed to his BMW X5 and let Fatty Lee's people rush back as soon as possible. Have you appeased your harem? Wang Xiaoyan looked at Yang Ming. There was an indescribable smile on her face. Not yet. There are still a few. Yang Ming smiled. Wang Xiaoyan shrugged and glared at Yang Ming. If she were to be jealous, she wouldn't be able to handle it. However, what made Wang Xiaoyan feel fortunate was that Yang Ming didn't hide these things from her. This also made Wang Xiaoyan have a little sense of superiority. Sister Xiaoqing, are you asleep? Yang Ming called Xiaoqing. Yang Ming. You're back. Xiaoqing's voice suddenly had some surprise. I just came back. How are you, Sister Xiaoqing? Asked Yang Ming. Aren't I still researching the project? Xiaoqing smiled bitterly. Now, the college is developing a new wireless protocol. I am taking the lead to do it, it's so late. You're still at school. Yang Ming was a little surprised. Yeah, but I'm not still here. I'm always here. I'm living in school. Xiaoqing said helplessly. I'll go to school to find you tomorrow. Yang Ming smiled after listening. Right, how is Sun Jie? Little Jie, I haven't seen her for a few days. I'm so busy that I haven't called her. You should call her. She may have returned to Donghai. Xiaoqing said. So it's like this. Okay, then I'll call her. Yang Ming said. Well, I won't talk to you first. I'm still doing experiments here. Many people are here. Xiao Qing said, tomorrow afternoon. I'm on vacation tomorrow afternoon. Then tomorrow afternoon. Yang Ming knew that Xiao Qing might be really busy, so he didn't continue to disturb her. Yang Ming called Sun Jie's phone several times, but he couldn't get through. Looking at the time, it was already past 12:00 in the middle of the night. Perhaps Sun Jie had already gone to bed. Yang Ming didn't continue to call. He planned to call her early in the morning to inform her. As for Zhao Ying, Yang Ming hesitated, picked up the phone, and put it down again. The relationship between Zhao Ying and Yang Ming was really strange. Although Yang Ming wanted to call and inform her, he didn't tell her before he left, so he gave up after thinking about it. I don't know how Zhao Ying is these days. Is her anger gone? It's better to test it on the internet first. Calling her recklessly may not be a good thing. Are you done calling? Wang Xiaoyan saw Yang Ming put down the phone, so she asked. But aren't you still here? Yang Ming looked at Wang Xiaoyan. Now, it's our private time. Let's go home. Who cares? Wang Xiaoyan was telling the truth. During this time, she was with Yang Ming every day. Wang Xiaoyan even had the illusion that Yang Ming only belonged to her. However, Yang Ming's words reminded her that now that she was back in Songjiang, those days no longer existed. Wang Xiaoyan sighed. The night that was not very rare was now particularly precious. Tomorrow night, Yang Ming would definitely not accompany her anymore, right? The car drove in the direction of the Huaxiang district. Along the way, Wang Xiaoyan was silent. She never thought that one day, she would fall in love with a man. In the past, she came out to create her own assassin group to escape the family's arrangement and fight against the elders of the family. Rather than saying that she didn't want to marry a man without feelings, it was more to fight against the family. Because Wang Xiaoyan had never been in love before, marriage was also a dispensable thing in her opinion, so she didn't care much about it. Until the appearance of Yang Ming and falling in love with Yang Ming, Wang Xiaoyan began to re-examine her future. Her struggle against the family had become a struggle for her own happiness. Wang Xiaoyan didn't want to be separated from Yang Ming, so she wanted to control her own destiny and create the world's first assassin group to prove to her family that she, Wang Xiaoyan, could also create miracles by breaking away from the marriage. Boom. Chapter 12-13. If the person who came was only Yang Ming alone, then Wang Kejin would not necessarily make a move. Because if he killed Yang Ming, it would not be easy to find his girlfriend. After all, the information he brought was only about Yang Ming's information. The information about Yang Ming's girlfriend was only mentioned briefly. There was nothing special about her at all. It could be said that regarding the information about Yang Ming's girlfriend, after Wang Kejin read it, there was no valuable clue except that this person was a woman. It was precisely because of this that Wang Kejin would be cautious. He was ready to wait for Yang Ming and his girlfriend to appear at the same time, then he would kill them. However, it seemed that tonight was a godsend opportunity. There was a woman sitting in Yang Ming's car. Looking at the intimacy between the two, she should be Yang Ming's girlfriend without a doubt. Wang Kejin did not think that this would be a prostitute that Yang Ming casually found for fun, because who would bring a prostitute back to his residence? It was not a wise choice to let a prostitute know where he lived. Therefore, Wang Kejin believed that the woman next to Yang Ming must be his girlfriend. Yang Ming's car stopped. It stopped just like that. Wang Kejin was slightly stunned. As a matter of fact, the information showed that Yang Ming was just an ordinary college student. In the case of a tire burst, very few people could control the car freely and stop the car stably. However, Yang Ming did it. Although the maneuverability of a BMW car was one of the few in the world, good maneuverability did not mean that everyone's reaction ability was very sharp. Of course, this was not what made Wang Kejin feel incredible. The most incredible thing was that Yang Ming and his girlfriend actually lay down at the same time. Was this reaction the reaction of an ordinary person? Wang Kejin was confident that his pistol had been installed with a silencer. Although the pistol was not very good, because it was very difficult to get a pistol in China, it was already very good for Wang Kejin to get such a gun in a hurry. Even so, in the quiet night, the muffled gunshot was not very obvious. If one did not listen carefully, one would not hear it, especially Yang Ming in the car. This was something that was even more impossible to detect. However, if Yang Ming did not notice, then why did he lie down? This was one of the things that Wang Kejin was puzzled about. Wang Kejin did not have armor-piercing bullets. This pistol was very difficult to buy at a high price from a black gun market in the coastal area. This gun could blow up tires, but it was a bit difficult to shoot a steel plate. Seeing that Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan both lay down, Wang Kejin did not dare to act rashly. He did not know if Yang Ming had discovered him. The community at night was quiet and desolate, but even so, Wang Kejin did not dare to act rashly. I just returned to Songjiang, and I was inexplicably attacked. Therefore, Yang Ming believed that this attack must have a reason. At least, the person who attacked them should have a purpose. What Yang Ming wanted to do was to find some clues from the person who attacked them. The recent events made Yang Ming fall into a state of confusion. It seemed that there was no end to the conspiracy against him that was constantly being staged. It had even affected the people around him. Sun Jia, Wang Xiaoyan, and so on. Yang Ming didn't want this to happen. This wasn't the life that Yang Ming wanted. Although there was a saying that the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility, Yang Ming didn't want to be involved in these unknown disputes. It wasn't that Yang Ming was afraid of anything, but who wanted to live in caution every day. Recalling the road that he had walked in this year, indeed, he had special abilities and quickly stood at the top of the pyramid of wealth. He had wealth that many people couldn't imagine in their lifetime. At the same time, he had also become the king of assassins that made the entire assassin world look up to him. It was even more frightening to ordinary people. This kind of height and level was something that Yang Ming didn't dare to think about before. However, all of this had now been realized. However, at the same time, Yang Ming didn't have much enjoyment and happiness when he achieved this. He felt that he seemed to have been pulled into a huge conspiracy by an invisible hand. The strange events that happened again and again made Yang Ming really confused. Although the things that happened were generally people attacking him or the people around him, every time someone attacked him, it seemed that there was a lot of coincidence. Just like this time's Alice, who seemed to be completely unrelated to Yang Ming, how could she set up a trap to kill Yang Ming in Europe? This made Yang Ming puzzled. Even if Yang Ming knew that there was a mysterious boss behind the scenes, who was this boss and what was his purpose? This made Yang Ming really have some doubts. Yang Ming had doubts, guesses, and boldly imagined it. However, Yang Ming wasn't sure whether this behind-the-scenes boss was that person. Or was it Elder Yu whose plan was disrupted by him? He really wanted to end all of this as soon as possible and live a peaceful life with his family. This was what Yang Ming wanted. Yang Ming didn't like this kind of days of gunfire. Wang Kejin saw that there was no movement from Yang Ming's car for a long time, and Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan didn't get out of the car. They didn't even get up. While he was puzzled, he was also a little anxious. If this dragged on, the one who would compromise in the end would definitely be Wang Kejin. As long as the sky was bright, the security patrol car of the community would begin to patrol. This was the rule that Wang Kejin had figured out after so many days. In the security patrol car, in addition to the community security and the auxiliary police of the street office, there was a regular police officer with a gun. If he still held a gun and wandered around in the daytime, he would definitely be discovered by the patrol car. Although Wang Kejin wasn't afraid of these people, it was just a police officer with a gun. If Wang Kejin wanted to kill him, it wasn't difficult. But the difficult part was, what would Wang Kejin do after killing this police officer? He couldn't kill all the patrol members in the car. As long as one person was alive, he would quickly use the walkie-talkie to ask for help, and then a large team would arrive. Even if he could safely leave before the arrival of the large group of people, then the plan to kill Yang Ming would be ruined. The police would definitely be on guard and guard around this community. At that time, Wang Kejin would really not be able to make a move. Thinking of this, Wang Kejin knew that he had to take some action. Otherwise, it would be impossible to do anything at dawn. Wang Kejin took a deep breath, then stood up and gently approached Yang Ming's BMW. While moving, Wang Kejin was also carefully observing the movement in Yang Ming's BMW. His eyes had been staring at the BMW's window. When he saw that Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan didn't raise their heads, he was relieved to approach the BMW boldly. "He is coming. Be careful," Yang Ming told Wang Xiaoyan. It was because Yang Ming had already seen Wang Kejin's action through the steel plate of the door. "Oh. How do you know?" Wang Xiaoyan was slightly stunned. She wanted to raise her head, but she was pressed back by Yang Ming. Now, Wang Kejin was close to the car. It was a good opportunity to attack him. If Wang Xiaoyan raised her head and alerted him, then it wouldn't be good. "I heard the sound. Trust me." Yang Ming winked at Wang Xiaoyan. Although Wang Xiaoyan was still very confused, she finally chose to believe Yang Ming. After all, when she was in Vietnam, Yang Ming showed amazing judgment, which wasn't something she could reach. Wang Xiaoyan also understood that the difference between her ability and Yang Ming wasn't just a little bit, but a lot. Therefore, when Yang Ming said so, Wang Xiaoyan no longer observed curiously. "In a while, when he comes over, I will open the door and hit him with the force of the door. You get off when I open the door. I don't need to say what to do after getting off, right?" Yang Ming saw that Wang Kejin was coming in his direction. At this time, it was too late to change positions with Wang Xiaoyan, so the task of attacking Wang Kejin could only fall on Wang Xiaoyan. Wang Xiaoyan immediately understood after listening to Yang Ming's words. She nodded and said, "Don't worry. Leave it to me." When Wang Kejin saw that there was still no movement in the BMW, he couldn't help but smile slightly because he was already close to the BMW. The pistol was taken away by Wang Xiaoyan, and Wang Kejin also recovered his calmness. In an instant, he understood that Yang Ming and his girlfriend were both martial artists. They were not ordinary people who didn't know anything. This also instantly let Wang Kejin figure out why Yang Ming was so sensitive to stop the car and lie down. It turned out that they had already noticed the danger and had been waiting for the opportunity to counterattack. Wang Kejin still stupidly thought that he wanted to open the door to shoot when they were unprepared, but they were waiting for the opportunity to attack when he approached. The reason why Yang Ming didn't lock the door was probably because of this, right? Wang Kejin had some self-deprecation. His judgment ability was still not good. As long as he thought about it at a deeper level, he would figure it out. When most people were robbed and in danger in the car, the first thing they would do was to lock the door. Yang Ming just happened to be able to stop the car and lie down, but he didn't lock the door. This had to explain some problems. It was just that Wang Kejin was eager for quick success and didn't understand this point. Wang Kejin retreated and avoided Wang Xiaoyan's fierce blow. Wang Kejin calmed down. It seems that today's mission is not so easy. Wang Kejin was a bit puzzled. How could such a difficult mission be defined as simple? Did the assassin group make a mistake, or did the client deliberately conceal the truth? However, now was not the time to pursue this. Regardless of whether the assassin group made a mistake or the client concealed it, Wang Kejin had to find a way to solve the matter in front of him first. Wang Kejin didn't know if Yang Ming knew Kung Fu, but the person next to him was definitely a master. As the saying goes, when an expert makes a move, one would know whether or not he is a master. Wang Xiaoyan grabbed the gun, threw the gun, and attacked with her leg. It was done in one go without the slightest pause. Obviously, she was also a veteran of fighting scenes. Yang Ming also got off at this time. When he saw Wang Xiaoyan and Wang Kejin confronting each other, he frowned slightly. For this person who disturbed his rest, Yang Ming didn't have a good impression. His hand shook slightly, and a flying needle made of wood provided by Zhang Zhishan was drawn into Yang Ming's palm. Yang Ming wanted to move, but he heard Wang Xiaoyan say, "Leave it to me. I can just stretch my muscles." Wang Xiaoyan could be said to be annoyed with this Wang Kejin. Wang Xiaoyan and Yang Ming could be said to be the last night of tenderness. Tomorrow, Yang Ming would accompany Qin Mengyan and the others, and this Wang Kejin actually came to disturb them. How could Wang Xiaoyan not be annoyed? Yang Ming's bystander gave Wang Kejin a chance to deal with it one-on-one. If Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan besieged him, Wang Kejin would fail today's mission, needless to say. Both of them had kung fu, and they didn't seem to be very weak. If they attacked from both sides, Wang Kejin would definitely not be able to resist. In that case, he could only give up. But now it was different. Yang Ming did not join the battle. Only Wang Xiaoyan was fighting one-on-one with him, so Wang Kejin felt that as long as he seized the opportunity to kill Wang Xiaoyan in one fell swoop, it would be much easier to deal with Yang Ming. However, he must use the speed of lightning to give Wang Xiaoyan a fatal blow. Let Wang Xiaoyan be knocked down without having the power to fight back. Otherwise, if Wang Xiaoyan showed a lack of physical strength or other weaknesses, Yang Ming would definitely not sit idly by. In this way, with the addition of Yang Ming, Wang Kejin would lose the opportunity. Therefore, Wang Kejin was determined to kill Wang Xiaoyan as soon as possible so that he could have the energy to deal with Yang Ming. Wang Kejin moved. His whole person was like a toad. He jumped up from the ground and quickly turned his fist into a palm in the air. He slammed toward Wang Xiaoyan's head. Wang Xiaoyan's figure was relatively petite. She was not very tall, so this also gave Wang Kejin an opportunity. Wang Kejin's move was more effective against some relatively short opponents. Because of the strict professional training, Wang Kejin's jumping height was relatively high, which also ensured that his lower body was in a safe state. Wang Xiaoyan couldn't attack Wang Kejin's lower body because of her petite figure and Wang Kejin's jumping height. In this way, Wang Kejin had no danger of being attacked in his lower body. He could boldly launch an attack on Wang Xiaoyan. Wang Kejin's move might be effective against ordinary people, but for a well-tested assassin like Wang Xiaoyan, it could be said to be somewhat ridiculous. Wang Xiaoyan saw through Wang Kejin's intention at a glance. In fact, Wang Kejin's toad jump was mostly to scare people. It was a bit like Ouyang Feng's toad skill in the Legend of the Condor Heroes. It looked very sharp. Therefore, most of the opponents would be surprised and moved when they saw this toad skill at first glance. This was just a moment of stagnation brought by the movement. It was enough for Wang Kejin to kill. But unfortunately, Wang Xiaoyan was not scared by Wang Kejin at all. If this trick could scare Wang Xiaoyan, then Wang Xiaoyan would not be Wang Xiaoyan. At the moment when Wang Kejin launched his palm, Wang Xiaoyan also moved. She couldn't let Wang Kejin's palm hit her head. In fact, Wang Xiaoyan could completely avoid Wang Kejin's palm, but Wang Xiaoyan chose to use her palm to receive Wang Kejin's palm. Ah! Wang Kejin was suddenly shocked because he suddenly saw that between the fingers of Wang Xiaoyan's outstretched palm, there was actually a transparent dagger. How could Wang Kejin not be shocked? If this palm hit, then his right hand would be pierced with a hole. However, now that he was in mid-air, there was no point to exert force on his lower body. He wanted to stop, but he couldn't stop. Bang! Wang Kejin could only watch his palm and Wang Xiaoyan's palm face each other. The transparent and cold dagger stabbed into Wang Kejin's right palm. Wang Kejin groaned and endured the pain in his palm. After he landed on the ground, he quickly dodged backward. In this palm, Wang Xiaoyan obviously did not suffer any harm. The assassin's strength was not very great because they did not rely on strength to win, but on skills. Even if Wang Kejin wanted to attack Wang Xiaoyan's head, he would choose the most vulnerable back of the head or near the temple. He would not hit the top of the skull at all. The skull was the harder part of the head. He had not practiced the iron palm, so it was impossible to break the skull. Moreover, with the dagger blocking in the middle, Wang Kejin also subconsciously reduced most of the strength in his palm. Therefore, Wang Xiaoyan did not suffer any harm except for bearing Wang Kejin's weight. Wang Kejin was secretly horrified. Is this girl in front of me still an ordinary student? Which student goes out in the middle of the night with a knife? And her skill is so good. Although most of Wang Kejin's mistakes were because he was too careless, if the other party did not have a certain strength, even if he was careless, the other party would not gain any advantage. Looking at the dagger in Wang Xiaoyan's hand that was covered with his blood, Wang Kejin was simply horrified. If he knew that this mission was so difficult, then Wang Kejin would not have chosen the close combat method to complete the mission. No matter how much it cost, he would get a sniper rifle and kill the man and woman in front of him from a distance. However, things had come to this point. There was no way back. He could only continue to fight. Wang Kejin took a deep breath and tried to calm his mind. In any case, Wang Kejin was the best assassin in the third generation of the butterfly family. Although the gap between him and Yang Ming was not small, the gap between him and Wang Xiaoyan was not very big. Although Wang Xiaoyan was the young lady in the family and could receive the best training from a young age, Father Wang did not want his daughter to do missions. Instead, he wanted her to focus on learning management so that she could inherit the family business in the future. After all, managing an assassin organization did not necessarily require one to be an assassin, so Father Wang did not deliberately train Wang Xiaoyan. This caused Wang Xiaoyan to be in a position where she was neither too high nor too low. The result was that it would be better if the kick hit. If the kick missed, he would be kicked by others. Wang Kejin obviously could not make such a common mistake, so he only kicked once. However, although it was safe in this way, the power was also reduced a lot. As long as the attacker dodged, the kick would be in vain. It couldn't be like Yang Ming, who kicked after the enemy dodged. This kind of attack caught others off guard. Who would have thought that after dodging the first kick, Yang Ming could still kick a second time in the air? Therefore, Yang Ming also used this yang flying kick to do a lot of big things at the critical moment. Although Wang Kejin's flying kick was not as powerful as Yang Ming's, his attack caught Wang Xiaoyan off guard. Indeed, there were not many people like Wang Kejin who bent down and used his hands as a fulcrum to jump up and kick. This required a lot of arm strength and explosive power to do it. Wang Xiaoyan obviously couldn't do it. After everyone made a move, there would be a momentary flaw. However, many people made this process fast to a certain extent, making it impossible for others to see their flaw. This was the so-called, in the world of martial arts, only speed is invincible. But obviously, Wang Xiaoyan couldn't do this, so when Wang Kejin's leather boots were about to step on Wang Xiaoyan's chest, the flying needle in Yang Ming's hand was about to be launched. However, a very strange scene appeared. Wang Xiaoyan quickly dodged. Her body, which was still in front of Wang Kejin, quickly slid behind Wang Kejin with an incredible posture and pace. The dagger in her hand was placed on Wang Kejin's neck. Wang Kejin's face showed an incredible look. Even Yang Ming widened his eyes. He didn't expect Wang Xiaoyan to actually have such a move. Butterfly dance micro-steps. Wang Kejin exclaimed subconsciously. He was really shocked. He didn't expect that he would actually see the butterfly family's best martial arts that he was looking forward to learning when he was performing a mission. This was the butterfly family's secret technique. Only the direct relatives of the butterfly family and the best disciples of each generation of the butterfly family could learn it. If Wang Kejin's mission this time didn't go wrong, then he would worship under the tombstone and be able to learn this wonderful butterfly dance micro-steps. This was the butterfly family's best and most difficult martial arts to practice. Not only could it be used for assassination, but it could also be used for escape. It was extremely useful. Legend had it that this was adapted from the martial arts secret technique lightning ripple micro-steps. This kind of extremely exquisite kung fu actually appeared on the target of the assassination. How could this not make Wang Kejin shocked? In Wang Xiaoyan's heart, she was actually very lucky. She had been exposed to this set of butterfly dance micro-steps since she was a child, but it was extremely difficult to practice it. Wang Xiaoyan practiced it for a while, but she didn't make much progress, so she gave up trying to practice it. Wang Xiaoyan's father didn't force Wang Xiaoyan to practice it. His idea was that Wang Xiaoyan would marry the king of assassins in the future, so with this link, even if Wang Xiaoyan didn't know martial arts, the assassins under Wang Xiaoyan wouldn't dare to disobey Wang Xiaoyan's orders. Who dared to rebel against the wife of the king of assassins? Wouldn't that be courting death? Therefore, Wang Xiaoyan didn't practice this set of butterfly dance micro-steps. Otherwise, when she was competing with Yang Ming, she wouldn't have been bullied so badly by Yang Ming. Even if she couldn't beat Yang Ming, with the butterfly dance micro-steps, wouldn't she be able to escape? This was also the reason why Yang Ming was surprised. Since Wang Xiaoyan had such a powerful skill, why didn't she use it when she was competing with him? Wang Xiaoyan was proud in her heart. In her desperation, she actually used this set of butterfly dance micro-steps unnaturally. It was really a coincidence. She often saw on TV that some martial arts masters broke through themselves in a crisis and understood a certain martial arts. Wang Xiaoyan didn't expect this to happen to her. However, Wang Xiaoyan didn't wait too long to be proud. Wang Kejin's words were like a basin of cold water poured on her head. Wang Kejin actually knew the name of this set of martial arts. As a matter of fact, this was the secret of the butterfly family. Except for the people in the butterfly family who knew and had seen this set of martial arts, outsiders couldn't have access to it. Wang Kejin only saw Wang Xiaoyan's few steps, and he could call out the name of the butterfly dance micro-steps. He must be a person who knew this set of martial arts very well. Who are you? How do you know? Wang Xiaoyan asked quickly. She also increased the strength of the dagger that was pointed at Wang Kejin. This involved the top secret of the family. Although Wang Xiaoyan had a conflict with her father, she also knew what was more important. This kind of family matter couldn't be sloppy. Who am I? Wang Kejin was slightly stunned. He didn't expect Wang Xiaoyan to actually ask him this. If Wang Xiaoyan didn't speak, he just wanted to ask Wang Xiaoyan this sentence: Who are you? How do you know the butterfly dance micro-steps? However, since Wang Xiaoyan had already asked, then Wang Kejin couldn't ask anymore. At this moment, Wang Kejin's heart was also full of confusion. How did Wang Xiaoyan learn this set of the butterfly family's highest martial arts? In particular, this person is Chinese, and in China. Wait. Wang Kejin suddenly thought of something. It must be like this. The cold sweat on Wang Kejin's forehead suddenly came out. He thought of a possibility, and it seemed to be the only possibility. Wang Kejin carefully turned his head and looked at Wang Xiaoyan carefully. He was more convinced in his heart. You are the miss. Chapter 12-15. Wang Kejin had naturally heard of the name of the butterfly family's miss, Wang Xiaoyan. However, Wang Xiaoyan had left the family very early to live independently. Wang Kejin had never really seen the real Wang Xiaoyan. He only mentioned Wang Xiaoyan when he was chatting with other assassins. He roughly knew about Wang Xiaoyan's age and the matter of her going to China. That was all he knew. However, when Wang Xiaoyan used the butterfly family's secret skill, butterfly dance micro steps, Wang Kejin thought that the person in front of him was probably the butterfly family's miss, Wang Xiaoyan. Butterfly dance micro steps was a very good and secretive kung fu. Even the assassins in the butterfly family couldn't practice it casually, let alone unrelated outsiders. However, Wang Xiaoyan could use butterfly dance micro steps. This in itself explained the problem. Wang Kejin didn't think that Wang Xiaoyan learned it secretly. How could this kind of kung fu be learned secretly? If this was the case, then the kung fu of the butterfly family would all be leaked, and the butterfly family would not be the world's largest assassin organization. Therefore, in summary, there was only one possibility. That was why Wang Kejin was so panicked. When he went to assassinate, he actually killed the eldest young miss, Wang Xiaoyan. How could he not be horrified? To assassinate the miss, he was simply trying to rebel. Thinking of this, Wang Kejin's body trembled. Who are you? Wang Xiaoyan was very sensitive to this miss because she was called the miss in the family. Do you know butterfly dance micro steps? Are you really Miss Wang Xiaoyan? When Wang Xiaoyan said the name of butterfly dance micro steps, Wang Kejin was more convinced that the person in front of him was Wang Xiaoyan. Are you from the family? Wang Xiaoyan didn't say the butterfly family because she didn't want Yang Ming to know her background. She didn't want Yang Ming to feel discouraged because the butterfly family was too difficult to surpass. Wang Kejin nodded. What's his name? Wang Xiaoyan continued asking. Wang Kejin, a third-generation disciple. Wang Kejin answered honestly. Now that the identity of Wang Xiaoyan had been determined, then Wang Xiaoyan's question was equivalent to the question of the family master. Wang Kejin naturally had to answer in full detail without concealing anything. There is a family token in my pocket. Because Wang Kejin was threatened by Wang Xiaoyan with a knife, he didn't dare to act rashly, so he just said that there was a token in his pocket, but didn't take it out. Wang Xiaoyan reached into Wang Kejin's jacket pocket. Sure enough, she found a small butterfly token in his pocket. Wang Xiaoyan nodded. She fully believed Wang Kejin's words and put away the dagger on his neck. Don't reveal the family secret. Come in and talk with me. Wang Xiaoyan whispered to Wang Kejin. Although Yang Ming wasn't far away, Wang Xiaoyan's voice was very low. Yang Ming didn't hear it. Indeed, Yang Ming had the special ability of telescopic vision and could read lips, but he didn't need to do that with Wang Xiaoyan, so he didn't hear the last sentence of Wang Xiaoyan clearly. Yang Ming, this person is an assassin sent by my family. After Wang Xiaoyan finished talking to Wang Kejin, she turned to Yang Ming and said. Yang Ming had already faintly guessed something from the conversation between Wang Kejin and Wang Xiaoyan. At this moment, when he heard Wang Xiaoyan, he immediately nodded and made a gesture. Let's go in and talk. Yang Ming got in the car and waved to Wang Xiaoyan and Wang Kejin. When Wang Xiaoyan nodded, Wang Kejin sat in the back seat of the BMW. The car drove into the underground parking lot of Wang Xiaoyan's villa. After parking the car, Yang Ming, Wang Xiaoyan, and Wang Kejin got off. At this moment, Wang Kejin no longer had the previous murderous aura, but he was very respectful behind Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan. However, Yang Ming didn't relax his vigilance because Wang Kejin and Wang Xiaoyan knew each other. Who knew if this was a trick to deceive people? Therefore, Yang Ming always paid attention to Wang Kejin's movements. Until they entered the villa's hall, Wang Xiaoyan let Wang Kejin sit opposite the sofa. Yang Ming relaxed his vigilance, but he didn't completely lose his guard against Wang Kejin. First, bandage your hand. Yang Ming glanced at Wang Kejin's right hand and said, Yen Yen, you go upstairs to the bedroom and bring down my medicine box. Since he was a member of Wang Xiaoyan's family, Yang Ming naturally treated him differently. He planned to give him some of Fang Tian's secret healing medicine. These were refined by Fang Tian according to the ancient prescription. The price was very expensive. Wang Xiaoyan originally planned to find a medicine box and gauze for Wang Kejin, but after listening to Yang Ming's words, she immediately understood that Yang Ming wanted to give Wang Kejin better medicine. So, she looked at Yang Ming gratefully, and then quickly went upstairs. In any case, Wang Kejin was a member of her family, which meant that he was her subordinate. Yang Ming cared about Wang Kejin because of Wang Xiaoyan's face, so Wang Xiaoyan was naturally very grateful to Yang Ming. Thank you. Wang Kejin naturally understood that the reason why Yang Ming let Wang Xiaoyan get his medicine box must be that the medicine in the medicine box was better, and it couldn't be taken easily. Yang Ming waved his hand and looked at Wang Kejin. He said faintly, Your mission is to kill me or Wang Xiaoyan. It's you. Wang Kejin hesitated and didn't hide it. Now it seemed that the relationship between Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan was deep. Since Yang Ming let Wang Xiaoyan go to the bedroom to get the medicine box, it proved that the two people lived together. In other words, Yang Ming was Wang Xiaoyan's boyfriend. So when Yang Ming asked, Wang Kejin had no reason to hide it. However, the employer asked me to kill your girlfriend together. Of course, I didn't know that your girlfriend was the miss, because the information said that I should kill you and your girlfriend. Wang Kejin didn't hide the fact that Wang Xiaoyan was the miss of the family. Their previous conversation was also heard by Yang Ming. Obviously, Wang Xiaoyan didn't intend to hide this. Wang Xiaoyan's last sentence to Wang Kejin might have asked him to hide some specific details of the butterfly family and the name of the family, so Wang Kejin didn't mention these. Yang Ming nodded. It seemed that Wang Kejin really should have come to kill without knowing anything. He only knew at the last minute that the target was their Mississippi. However, Yang Ming was wondering, who wants to kill me and my girlfriend? Who has this kind of hatred with me? Who is the employer? Asked Yang Ming. I don't know. The mission was issued through the platform. We don't know the identity of the employer. Wang Kejin shook his head. Yang Ming naturally knew the mission process of the assassin platform. Many missions were issued anonymously, so Yang Ming didn't question Wang Kejin's words. Wang Xiaoyan took the first aid kit and handed it to Wang Kejin. Wang Kejin didn't need anyone's help. He opened the first aid kit, applied the medicine, and bandaged the gauze with one hand. This was the most basic quality ability of an assassin. After being injured, one would bandage himself. Because in many cases, the execution of the mission was carried out alone, and there was no one else around, so it was necessary to bandage himself after being injured. After Wang Kejin bandaged himself, Wang Xiaoyan spoke, Who sent you? It's my instructor. Wang Kejin said truthfully, This is a mission received from the assassin platform. It asked the organization to assassinate Yang Ming and his girlfriend. There was only Yang Ming's information on the information, but there was no information on his girlfriend. So, I didn't know that his girlfriend was you, Mississippi, that's the case. Wang Xiaoyan nodded after listening. She thought, luckily, you met me with Yang Ming, so you made a move. If Yang Ming was with other women, and you made a move, you would die directly. You wouldn't have a chance to see me again. Who is the employer? The missions on the assassin platform are issued anonymously. Wang Kejin smiled bitterly. The organization won't ask about this kind of thing. Okay, I got it. This mission is stopped. You can go back. Try to investigate the identity of the employer. Forget it. I will talk to my father directly about this. Wang Xiaoyan waved her hand and said, Miss, I still have other missions. I'm afraid I can't go back immediately. Wang Kejin didn't need to hide anything from Wang Xiaoyan, so he naturally told Wang Xiaoyan that he still had a mission. There are other missions. What mission? Wang Xiaoyan asked casually. It is a mission to assassinate a gang boss in Songjiang. Wang Kejin replied. Gang boss. Yang Ming's heart was subconsciously shocked, and then he quickly asked, what is the name of the assassination target? This. Wang Kejin hesitated. The assassination mission needed to be kept secret. It couldn't be said casually. I asked you a question. Just answer it. Why are you stuttering? Wang Xiaoyan glared and snorted at Wang Kejin impatiently. Yes, Mississippi, Wang Kejin said quickly. Yang Ming's identity, although it seemed that he was the boyfriend of the miss, whether this identity was recognized by the family was unknown. Therefore, Wang Kejin still had reservations about Yang Ming. Most of the assassins in the family were clear about Wang Xiaoyan's affairs. Wang Xiaoyan's fiancé should be the apprentice of the king of assassins, and Wang Xiaoyan's escape was to escape this marriage. However, although Wang Xiaoyan escaped, it was still unknown whether she could resist the fate of the family, so Wang Kejin had reservations about Yang Ming. Now, since Wang Xiaoyan spoke, then Wang Kejin couldn't hide it anymore. The miss's words represented the second highest power in the family, so Wang Kejin replied truthfully, it is Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan. It is said that they are the gang bosses of this city. What? Although Yang Ming heard Wang Kejin say that he wanted to assassinate a gang boss, he had already faintly guessed something. At this moment, when he heard Wang Kejin say that it was Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan, he immediately exclaimed, you want to assassinate Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan? Wang Kejin was puzzled by Yang Ming's big reaction, but he still nodded and said, yes. This mission is also cancelled. Yang Ming waved his hand. You can go back. Ah. Wang Kejin was a little dumbfounded. Yang Ming's words were like an order, but Wang Kejin frowned in his heart. He thought, you are just the boyfriend of the Mississippi. What right do you have to order me? Even if I am the miss, I can't just cancel the mission, right? The previous mission involved the miss, so it had to be cancelled. But now this mission was aimed at an outsider. How can it be cancelled easily? Once it is cancelled, how can I report back? Cancel. This is impossible. Wang Kejin said subconsciously. If I ask you to cancel it, then just cancel it. What is impossible? Wang Xiaoyan knew about Ho Jinhan and Bao Sanli. When the Black Widow assassin group merged with Li Chang and the others to form the Black Butterfly assassin group, she saw Ho Jinhan and Bao Sanli. She also knew that these two people were working for Yang Ming, so at this moment, Wang Xiaoyan naturally stood on the side of Yang Ming. Miss. Wang Kejin was helpless about Wang Xiaoyan's words. Miss, the previous mission involved you, so it must be cancelled. I can report back, But, if this mission is cancelled, I can't report back when I go back. The family master will not agree. Really? Then you have to go through me first. Yang Ming's eyes were cold as he spoke to Wang Kejin. Wang Kejin didn't know how Yang Ming's skills were. Before, he only fought with Wang Xiaoyan. Yang Ming didn't make a move, but he thought that Yang Ming should also know Kung Fu. Otherwise, he wouldn't have something like a medicine box. Miss, don't make it difficult for me. Wang Kejin really didn't know what to do in the face of Yang Ming's threat. Fighting with Yang Ming was obviously not giving face to Wang Xiaoyan, but, if he didn't fight, Yang Ming would stop him from completing the mission. Shua. A flying needle pierced Wang Kejin's right ear and directly pierced a hole in his right ear. Ah! Wang Kejin was suddenly shocked. Although he was talking to Wang Xiaoyan just now, and he was distracted, he didn't see how Yang Ming made a move. If this flying needle was pierced in another position of Wang Kejin, then he would probably be dead at this moment. Don't do something that is beyond your ability. Yang Ming said faintly, you are a member of the Yan family, so I am so polite to you. Otherwise, do you think you can still stand here? Wang Kejin's cold sweat came out. He didn't doubt the authenticity of Yang Ming's words. He didn't expect that Yang Ming would actually use a concealed weapon, and it was such a small concealed weapon. In some of the top assassins, concealed weapons were not unfamiliar to them, but most of the concealed weapons were launched with the help of machinery, similar to pistols. This kind of concealed weapon that was launched purely by hand strength could be said to be less and less in today's society. This was because the first throw of a concealed weapon had a very high requirement for the opponent's strength. This required very strict training. This was not the most difficult point. Many assassins were people who could bear hardships. However, the second point wasn't something that everyone could achieve, and that was the accuracy of the throw. Perhaps many assassins were sharpshooters, but if they didn't use modern equipment, then who could guarantee the accuracy? Therefore, many assassins would not spend much effort to practice the throwing of concealed weapons. In contrast, the use of firearms was more convenient. The problem could be solved with one shot. Why would they need to use concealed weapons? However, in many cases, in some public places, using a gun was not a good way. If they could use a concealed weapon to quietly kill the target, it was hundreds of times better than using a gun. Yang Ming could casually throw out a flying needle in an instant. This seemingly simple technique was a height that many assassins couldn't reach in their lifetime. Especially with a flying needle. If it was a dagger or a stone, it was still possible, but a flying needle was so small and light that it was very difficult to throw it. After Yang Ming revealed this move, Wang Kejin already knew that his mission was extremely difficult to complete. Even if he took advantage of Yang Ming's unpreparedness, pretended to leave Song Jiang, and then turned back to assassinate the target, even if he succeeded, then Yang Ming would definitely know that this was done by Wang Kejin. With Wang Xiaoyan in the middle, Wang Kejin would not be able to mingle in the butterfly family. So for a time, Wang Kejin was in a dilemma. Let's do it this way. I will talk to my father about this matter. Your plan will be suspended for these 2 days. After seeing my father's opinion, I will inform you again. Wang Xiaoyan also knew Wang Kejin's dilemma. As an assassin of the butterfly family, if he gave up the mission and went back directly, he would definitely be severely punished by the family. However, if there was a reason and he got the permission of the family master, then there was no problem. Thank you, Mississippi. This is the best. When Wang Kejin saw that Wang Xiaoyan said a compromise, he breathed a sigh of relief and nodded. However, he still had not solved the most important problem. From Wang Xiaoyan's words, Wang Kejin had already understood that the result of the matter was likely to be to cancel the mission and let him go back directly. But in this way, these 2 missions were not completed. Then, would he still have the opportunity to worship under Master's tombstone? However, the current situation did not allow him to make any refutation. He could only let it be. Well, you leave your contact information. I will keep in touch with you at any time. Wang Xiaoyan didn't want to waste time on Wang Kejin's matter. Today was already the last night to get together with Yang Ming. The next time was uncertain, so Wang Xiaoyan particularly cherished it. Okay, my satellite phone number is. Wang Kejin said his satellite phone number, then got up and said goodbye to Wang Xiaoyan and Yang Ming. Wang Kejin was somewhat frustrated as he left Wang Xiaoyan's villa. Originally, he came to Songjiang excitedly. He wanted to complete these two tasks perfectly, but he did not expect that he could not complete one. Is this fate? It seems that I have no fate with Master's tombstone. A hand was silently placed on Wang Kejin's shoulder. Wang Kejin was suddenly shocked. His hair stood up in fright. Why are there so many strange things today? Who is it? Wang Kejin exclaimed subconsciously. Chapter 12-16. Although Wang Kejin was not a top assassin, it was incredible that someone could approach him without him being aware of it. Wang Kejin did not think that he was incompetent to such a point. But in fact, this was the case. Someone approached him and even put his hand on his shoulder before he reacted. He didn't know if it was because he was a little distressed and in a bad mood when he came out of Wang Xiaoyan's house, so he was careless, or the approaching person was really powerful. However, these were not important. In the case of not distinguishing between friend and foe, Wang Kejin could only concentrate on dealing with it. Don't be nervous, young man. A familiar hoarse voice came to Wang Kejin's ears. Wang Kejin was shocked and quickly turned around, but he saw the person he wanted to see in his dreams. Masters Jr. Wang Kejin couldn't believe his eyes. The person in front of him was actually Masters Jr., Tombstone. He had always wanted to be a disciple of Masters Jr., but he had never had a chance. He finally had the opportunity this time, but he had not completed the task yet. Wang Kejin wanted to give up, but he did not expect to unexpectedly meet Masters Jr., Tombstone, here. The person who came was Tombstone, the person sent by the Butterfly family's family master to secretly protect Wang Xiaoyan. However, in most cases, as long as Tombstone saw Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan together, he would give up tracking and protecting them because Yang Ming was there. Wang Xiaoyan would not be in any danger. If even Yang Ming could not deal with someone, it would be useless for Tombstone to go. Therefore, Tombstone only secretly tracked and protected Wang Xiaoyan when Yang Ming was not with Wang Xiaoyan. Today, Tombstone also saw the fight between Wang Kejin and Wang Xiaoyan from a distance. Tombstone smiled slightly and nodded. Wang Kejin, right? The third generation of the family's outstanding assassin. Masters Jr., do you know my name? Wang Kejin was very excited when he saw that Tombstone could actually call out his name. His voice changed a little. Of course, I know. Your instructor has recommended you to me to let me train you alone. Tombstone said with a smile. Really? Wang Kejin looked at the martial uncle in front of him in disbelief. However, after he was excited for a little while, he showed a depressed expression. Martial uncle, my mission this time has failed. You lost to eldest miss, do you think it's considered a failure? Tombstone waved his hand. Young miss has received strict training since she was young. Although she is not as professional as us, she has been exposed to the most sophisticated martial arts. Wang Kejin was shocked. Although he was already convinced in his mind that the person he saw just now was Wang Xiaoyan, the Butterfly family's Mississippi. But now, after hearing Tombstone say it personally, he was more confident in his heart. But Miss Boyfriend asked me to give up another mission in Songjiang together. Wang Kejin hesitated and said. Because Tombstone was not an outsider, Wang Kejin did not need to hide anything from him. Another mission. What mission? Tombstone's current duty was to protect Wang Xiaoyan's safety and report Wang Xiaoyan's situation to the clan leader at any time. It's an assassination of the two gang leaders here. Wang Kejin said truthfully. However, the two gang leaders should have a good relationship with eldest Miss Boyfriend, Yang Ming. Oh. After listening to Wang Kejin's words, Tombstone asked, are the targets of the assassination called Ho Jinhan and Bao Sanli? Martial uncle, do you know them? Wang Kejin was stunned. He didn't expect Tombstone to know the names of these two people. Tombstone shook his head and said, I don't know them, but I know these two people. Their relationship with Yang Ming is really good. Just cancel this mission. Ah. Wang Kejin did not expect martial uncle Tombstone to let him cancel the mission. However, Tombstone's words were obviously more powerful. Although Wang Xiaoyan was also a member of the family, her current identity was still the eldest Mississippi. She did not participate in the family's assassin affairs, but Tombstone was different. Tombstone was one of the leaders of the Butterfly Assassin Group. Tombstone's words represented the order of the organization. Do not worry. Even if there are no these two missions, I will still let you follow me. Tombstone patted Wang Kejin's shoulder as if he saw through his thoughts and said with a smile. Wang Kejin did not expect Tombstone to directly agree to accept him as a disciple, and he was overjoyed. He completed these two missions in order to be able to worship Tombstone. Since his dream had now been realized, Wang Kejin was no longer entangled with the success or failure of the mission. Originally, Wang Kejin was still worried that these two missions could not be completed. Now, with Martial Uncle Tombstone's personal guarantee, Wang Kejin regained his previous mood of coming to Songjiang. Thank you, Martial Uncle. Wang Kejin quickly thanked him. What are you thanking me for? Tombstone waved his hand. We are all family. If you are not excellent, I will not teach you anything. I can let you follow me because of your own efforts. Although Wang Kejin also understood that if he did not work hard, then it would be a waste of effort, but at this moment, he was still very grateful to Tombstone. Well, I will report this matter to the family master. You don't have to go back. Follow me to experience Songjiang. I still have the mission to protect the eldest miss here. I can't go back for a while, said Tombstone. That's great. Wang Kejin was overjoyed after listening to Tombstone's words. He immediately nodded and agreed. As long as he could follow Martial Uncle Tombstone, it was the same no matter where. Wang Kejin naturally would not care. My mission is to secretly protect the first miss, but the first miss doesn't know of my existence. So, don't tell the first miss that you've met me, the Tombstone said. You know the stakes of this. Yes, Martial Uncle, I know. Wang Kejin responded hurriedly. Tombstone nodded and said to Wang Kejin, let's go. I will take you to my residence. Wang Kejin and Tombstone disappeared into the night. Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan's villa frowned. Yang Ming had long noticed the existence of Tombstone. He even fought with him. However, since Tombstone was to protect Wang Xiaoyan's safety, Yang Ming did not bother with him and let him follow Wang Xiaoyan there. However, recently, as long as he was with Wang Xiaoyan, Tombstone would avoid him, so Yang Ming had no reason to find trouble with Tombstone. Now that he saw the scene of Wang Kejin and Tombstone meeting, Yang Ming also heard him say that he was here to secretly protect Wang Xiaoyan. Then, his and Wang Xiaoyan's every move must have been passed to the ears of Wang Xiaoyan's father. So, why didn't Wang Xiaoyan's father take any action? It was reasonable to say that Wang Xiaoyan still had a marriage. A big family like hers would definitely pay attention to the privacy of their private life. Now, Wang Xiaoyan was still a student, and she lived with Yang Ming every day. After Wang Xiaoyan's father knew about it, it was reasonable to say that he should stop it. He shouldn't let it happen, right? Therefore, Yang Ming felt a little puzzled. Which side is this tombstone on? Is he helping Wang Xiaoyan hide from her father, or has he reported everything about Wang Xiaoyan to him? However, just from Tombstone's words, Tombstone should be more protective of his side. He advised Wang Kejin to cancel the mission of assassinating Ho Jinhan and Bao Sanli. It was entirely out of Yang Ming's consideration. Otherwise, what did Ho Jinhan and Bao Sanli have to do with Tombstone? With Tombstone's mediation, Wang Kejin believed that this time, Wang Kejin had completely given up the plan to assassinate Ho Jinhan and Bao Sanli. Otherwise, Yang Ming was really worried. The reason why Yang Ming used his special ability to detect Wang Kejin's departure was that he wanted to see where he was going after leaving Wang Xiaoyan's house. He also wanted to see if there was any intention to assassinate Ho Jinhan and Bao Sanli. Now, there was no need to look anymore. Ho Jinhan and Bao Sanli could be said to be safe. However, Yang Ming still couldn't calm down. This matter was really weird. Someone actually hired an assassin to kill me and Wang Xiaoyan, and they also wanted to kill Ho Jinhan and Bao Sanli. Although my relationship with Ho Jinhan and Bao Sanli was not public, and only a few people knew about it, there was indeed a great relationship between them. Now, when someone wanted to kill me and Wang Xiaoyan, they also wanted to kill Ho Jinhan and Bao Sanli. Is the client of these two missions the same person or two people? Is this all a coincidence, or is it a well-planned conspiracy? This was nothing. The weirdest thing was that the client actually hired an assassin in Wang Xiaoyan's family to kill Wang Xiaoyan. This was simply too funny and unexpected. In this case, there was only one possibility left. That was, the client of the mission did not know about Wang Xiaoyan's background, nor did he know about her relationship with the assassin organization. Moreover, the most important thing was that in the assassination information received by Wang Kejin, it only mentioned that she was Yang Ming's girlfriend. There was no other detailed information, not even a name. In other words, the client's target should be Yang Ming, not Wang Xiaoyan. Wang Xiaoyan was just a sacrificial victim. Even if the person sitting next to Yang Ming was not Wang Xiaoyan, but Qin Mengyan, Lin Jiyun, Zhou Jiejie, Xiao Qing, Sun Jia, or even Zhao Ying, as long as it was a girl who was close to him, she would be the target of Wang Kejin. Then, it seemed that this conspiracy should not be made by the mysterious boss. The mysterious boss was obviously also targeting Wang Xiaoyan. That time, he set a trap in Macau and the assassination in Wang Xiaoyan's villa. Obviously, he knew Wang Xiaoyan's information very well. At least, it was impossible that he didn't even know her name. So it seemed that the client this time should be someone else. However, it involved Ho Jinhan and Bao Sanli. What the hell is going on here? Thinking of this, Yang Ming picked up the phone. Although it was already very late, Yang Ming couldn't sleep if he didn't figure it out. Hello. Bao Sanli. I am Yang Ming. Yang Ming dialed Bao Sanli's cell phone. Brother Yang. What's the matter? Bao Sanli and Yang Ming had just separated. Bao Sanli had driven the car to Yang Ming's hands. Now, he had just returned to the nightless club. Baozi, I just met an assassin. Yang Ming said. Assassin? Brother Yang, are you okay? Bao Sanli was shocked after listening. Brother Yang, the assassin wanted to kill you. Yang Ming nodded. But Yan Yan knew the assassin, so he stopped his mission. But according to him, his next mission was to assassinate you and Ho Jinhan. What? Bao Sanli was even more surprised when he heard that Yang Ming had met an assassin. Now, when he heard Yang Ming say that the assassin wanted to kill him and Ho Jinhan, he was suddenly horrified. Yes, but his mission was also cancelled. For the time being, you and Big Ho will not be in danger. Yang Ming said, however, what I don't understand is why someone wants to hire an assassin to kill you. Have you offended anyone recently? Who did we offend? Bao Sanli was stunned. Brother Yang, you know that we have now turned into a proper business. We have long stopped doing underworld business. How can we offend anyone? That's strange. Since there is no enmity, why would someone target you and Big Ho? Yang Ming listened to Bao Sanli's denial and was even more puzzled. That assassin, did he say who hired him? Bao Sanli didn't understand the rules of the assassin industry, so he asked directly. The assassin's mission is anonymously issued through the mission platform. Yang Ming smiled bitterly. If we knew the client of the mission, we wouldn't have to work as hard as we do now. So that's the case. Bao Sanli was a little embarrassed. Could it be that some people feel that after Big Ho and I unified the underworld of Songjiang, we have become a proper business, and they are not used to our practice? It is also possible. Yang Ming nodded in agreement after listening to Bao Sanli's words. You may not feel anything, but what about your men? Perhaps some people just yearn for the life of swords and knives. They intend to take the opportunity to get rid of you. I understand, Brother Yang. Tomorrow, I will start to investigate the internal and external affairs. This matter must have a result. Otherwise, we are not afraid of thieves stealing, but we are afraid of thieves scheming. If this person is not found, Big Ho and I will not be able to live a stable life, said Bao Sanli. It's good to investigate. Yang Ming suddenly remembered that time when he met Lu Cha in the elevator. The arrogant look at that time was still fresh in Yang Ming's memory. Especially the several senior executives inside the group, it is best to check if there is any problem. The person named Lu Chan, his son, is very arrogant. Why? Did Lu Cha offend you? Bao Sanli also knew Lu Chan's son. He knew what kind of character Lu Cha usually had, so when he heard Yang Ming mention Lu Cha at this time, he quickly asked. He didn't offend me, but this kid had thoughts about my cousin's girlfriend. Last time, he wanted to take the opportunity to kidnap her and do something. As Yang Ming said this, he sighed. Baozi, I know that some people have been following you until now, but the children of these people are too arrogant. Although you have changed to a proper line of work, the actions of these children have seriously affected the image of the group. I understand, Brother Yang. I will deal with it. Bao Sanli was now not as careless as before. He understood a lot of Yang Ming's words. Yang Ming had long wanted to clean up the internal affairs of the group, but there had been no suitable opportunity to speak. After all, these were veterans who followed Bao Sanli. Bao Sanli couldn't be too heartless. This would make it difficult for him. However, since there was such an opportunity, Yang Ming naturally passed the words directly to Bao Sanli, and it didn't seem abrupt. If there is news, contact me. Yang Ming said, be careful. I will also start the investigation, but before the results come out, you and Big Ho shouldn't go out casually. I am afraid that the client will do something again. Yang Ming said. Okay, Brother Yang. Bao Sanli quickly agreed. Wang Xiaoyan had already gone upstairs to take a bath. After a few days of traveling, she was already dirty. Wang Xiaoyan loved cleanliness. When she got home, she naturally went straight to the bathroom. Yang Ming waited for Wang Xiaoyan to take a bath before going, so in his free time, he thought about Wang Kejin's assassination here. Tianlong's main goal was Yang Ming, not Sun Hongjun and Sun Jia. Once all the Sun family's businesses in Donghai were transferred to Tianlong's name, then Sun Hongjun and Sun Jia would not pose any threat to him. On the surface, Sun Hong-jun seemed to have a lot of power in Donghai, but this power, to put it bluntly, was controlled by Tianlong. Whether it was the gang or the group, Tianlong had placed his own people in all of them. In other words, as long as Tianlong substantially held the power, Sun Hong-jun would not make any more waves. After persuading Tian Donghua to lure Yang Ming failed, Tianlong could only make other plans. However, he quickly came up with another alternative, which was to let Sun Jia call Yang Ming. Naturally, he couldn't force Sun Jia to make this call. With Sun Jia's character, she would not be obedient. Tianlong was very familiar with Miss Sun's character. Sun Jia's character was very strong. She would never be manipulated. It was a complete coincidence that he was able to lure her here. It was reasonable to say that with Sun Jia's IQ, she would not be deceived by such a small conspiracy, but Tian Donghua played the emotional card. An elder who watched Sun Jia grow up, a person who had been loyal to her father, how could Sun Jia be on guard against such a person? When her father was in trouble, Sun Jia subconsciously thought of the people who could be trusted around her father. Besides Uncle Sun San, it was Tianlong. Therefore, Sun Jia was deceived by Tianlong when she didn't have any defense against him. This was not that Sun Jia was not cautious, but if it were anyone else, they would be deceived in this case. However, this kind of trust could only be used once, not a second time. Now, Sun Jia would not believe anything Tianlong said. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.